we get that reconfirmation, I think there's a world where NVIDIA gaps up. We don't get that confirmation, it might be a little tougher to see NVIDIA gap up. So I think that's going to be very important today after the bell. And then Tesla, one of the most important things about Tesla is that $30,000 car going to be announced today with a definitive timeline, or is it not? I think those are the three major things today that we have to watch out for. Does Meta and Microsoft reaffirm their CapEx guidance? There's a lot of nuances to what Meta and Microsoft have to do as well, and we'll talk about that. But the number one thing is, are you going to spend the damn money on the GPUs? Are you or are you not? And if you don't, I think there's going to be some issues on NVIDIA. If they do, then that's good. And then on Tesla, are we going to get this $30,000 car? Hopefully coming later this year. Another stat that's really important as well going into today's earnings is that the S&P 500 has the lowest short float in over 14 years. And so obviously people are bullish. People put a ton of money into the NASDAQ when NVIDIA had its worst day. And then you got $7 trillion on the sidelines. Money market funds added $60 billion last week. So you've got people that are bullish. You've still got money on the sidelines and you've got short interest at all-time lows. What we need is big tech earnings to crush. So far, out of the 21% of companies that have reported, we looked at this stat this morning as well, 79% of them have beat on the top and the bottom line. 79%. I mean, 8 out of 10 companies that have reported so far in the S&P 500 have beat on the top and the bottom. So Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla continuing to do the same is just going to reaffirm that we are in a bull market and this market has higher to go as growth continues to be elevated and equities can catch a bid. All right, let's bring on some people to help me discuss what the heck is going on in the markets. First off, let's bring over Mr. Couch Investor. Neil, what's up?
Hello. Good, and you?
I am doing great. You are a Tesla shareholder. You have been a long Tesla shareholder. So I think we'll start off with Tesla as our preview, and then I'll get your thoughts on Meta and Microsoft. I don't even know if I should say pump or dump. Like, what are your raw thoughts going into Tesla? Because this stock is up a lot since Trump got elected. And I know you think, all right, it's had a big move. Can they justify it? Do you think there's a world where Elon justifies this to 450, or are we going back into the low 300s?
I think, like you said, if there are some positive commentary on the more affordable car, I think this goes higher. Maybe some comments on the bot as well. And me personally, I would love to hear more about the Tesla Semi, and if that's still going to launch later this year, like fully launch, because I think that product is going to be much bigger than.
Anil, can you turn up your mic a little bit? People are just saying to turn up the mic, or bring it closer to you. That could also.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That should be better. That should be better, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just so used to me yelling all the time. So when you come in with like, yeah, I think Tesla, they're like, what is this? What's going on? But you're doing it the right way. I'm the one yelling at them for 8 hours a day.
Maybe they'll want me to be calm after we see the stock drop 20% later tonight.
That was the running joke on the last RoboTaxi event, whereas like Neil is the most calm guy in the world. Just like, oh, Tesla's down 20%. I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's just different. It's just a little different. Okay, so overall, you think that $30,000 car is what can get the stock to pump. What do you think dumps the stock today?
Well, no reiteration of that guidance, I would say. We also heard previously the 20 to 30% vehicle growth in 2025. Will that be reiterated, yes or no? Remains to be seen. I actually wrote down the same things from last quarter. They did say that sustaining margin in Q4 will be challenging. So let's see how big of a hit that will be. But yeah, I think the focus will be on the next models for sure. The focus is on the next model and guidance for 2025 overall, if they can see that increase in volume. And maybe they're already seeing something with the new Model Y. We'll see. Hopefully Elon knows that new Model Y exists, because based on his tweets, I don't think he knows it exists, but you never know. You never know.
All right, so I'm putting the final Tesla pump or dump poll in the chat. And by the way, guys, if you want to follow Neil, his Twitter is below. He also has a YouTube. I'll link in a second. His YouTube is great, and he has videos every day that are very, very timely about the broader markets, the macro, individual stocks, all that good stuff. Neil, do you think Elon's going to reaffirm the 20% guidance on vehicle deliveries? Because I think he said that in passing in the last call, even though everyone like really took to that statement. That's a big deal because they barely grew last quarter. And I asked this question because if we get rid of the $7,500 tax credit, do you think it's even logically possible for them to put up 20% vehicle deliveries growth?
I mean, If there is a more affordable model, then yes. If not, then it's going to be difficult. I mean, we've seen what happened in Canada. The vehicles there just became way more expensive because they increased the prices. Plus, now it's outside of that ZEV credit that they're getting, so it becomes even more expensive. So yeah, I would say if he doesn't say it, an analyst will probably ask it, and then it's going to be that game of what is he going to answer. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a lot based on the tone of Mr. Elon Musk today. Let's get someone else onto the show to help me analyze what's going to go on over the next couple hours, who has been a Tesla shareholder for a while now as well. Mr. Amir, what's up?
Hello, everyone. My voice is kind of dead, but I hope it will hold up. I have 2 liters of water here, so I should be fine. For you,
Are you
Americans,
are you sick?
No, well, not really. My voice just gave out, so I don't know. Hello,
right.
everyone.
Are you? So I'll ask you the first same question, then we'll talk about Microsoft and Meta. Pump or dump on Tesla? What do you think?
From an analyst approach, it should dump, but it's all about the commentary. So if I had to be like 50-50, probably pump, I would say. What did Neil answer? He's the chart expert here. But
chart
no, I think
expert.
No, but like you can guess the momentum and stuff. For me, it is overvalued where it's trading right now. If you don't count like the intangible stuff, which is the robotics, the robotaxi stuff, like we don't really have any details. Even though it's been many quarters now, he says we're not a vehicle company. It's all about automation and autonomy and stuff. And I'm like, okay, but where are the details about that? How are we supposed to analyze that and quantify that when we don't know anything? So I think it's a lot about the commentary. For me, I'm not too interested in near-term figures, even though I am typically very granular in my analysis approach. But for Tesla, it's more or less about the future. So stuff like I will keep an eye out on capacity, utilization, inventories, and stuff like that. Of course, continued growth within energy so that it can actually meaningfully contribute to margin. That's been a big thesis for a lot of people, like within the tangible business segments, and see if they can deliver on those promises. But yeah, most of all, I'm interested in the commentary, and historically we haven't gotten anything, so my expectations are low in that regard. My hopes are high, so it's a mixed bag.
How, Neil, let me go to you. How do you feel about the energy business? Do you think it's going to be anything meaningful to contribute to Tesla's bottom line this quarter?
Yeah, I mean, we got some numbers, right, with the production and delivery numbers. I think that came in quite strong. And look, with all the investments in AI, data centers, and all of that, it would be strange not to see Tesla Energy win big contracts. Plus, I mean, xAI and Tesla themselves are building quite a lot, so it's like a self-funding business.
But the problem with Tesla is, for me, trying to analyze it, they only give us gross margins. Like we don't know anything about how much it actually brings from the operations, because this could still be unprofitable for all that we know. So that's one of my main gripes with Tesla. They have all these business segments, but they don't really segment it out properly. They suddenly stop reporting on segments that still exist, like solar. I'm like, where did that go? The numbers weren't good enough for a couple of quarters. Nah, just remove it, So they make it really hard to follow the business. But yeah, I guess analysts like a challenge from time to time. And that's certainly the case with Tesla.
So let me ask you guys this question. If we go to the Q3 deck, here's the quote from the deck. Preparations remain underway for our offering of new vehicles, including more affordable vehicles, which we will begin launching in the first half of 2025. There's no way that they can go back on that statement, right? Like they could, but the street would definitively be pissed off. Meaning it wasn't just Elon who casually said, oh, first half of 2025. That's like in written word. So I would imagine they have to reaffirm that in order for the street to be happy. Amir, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, unless it's more or less the robotaxi platform, there's like no way, right? And we haven't heard anything about that since then. So I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. I imagine that Elon has a history of having to walk back promises. I mean, especially considering timelines. I mean, even the Tesla Semi, like what's happening there? But yeah, I would say it is kind of credible. It's kind of recent. I don't think they would just mindlessly put that out there. So I would hope so. But yeah, Street would kill them if that does not materialize.
Neil, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But I still, by the way, if my mic is now better, let me know, or worse.
You're good.
Me personally, I would love to have a Tesla that is way more affordable, right? Because in Europe, Teslas are seen as quite expensive cars, still above 40,000 euros. So it's not cheap at all. So if you want to reach those high volume numbers, you definitely need, even before the robotaxi, because again, it's Europe. I don't expect to see a robotaxi driving in Europe anytime soon, but you'll need the cheaper model.
It's mainly about the tax credits, right? The incentive from governments. For example, in Norway, everyone drives a Tesla because the government pays for half of it, more or less. And it's quite common in Sweden. But I mean, many parts of Europe, they are not really pushing for that the way the US is. And that's why we're not seeing as strong growth here. But because I believe like 40K euro for a base model, isn't it pretty similar in the US as of recently? It's just like the credits making up the difference, like making it more attractive over there. Like it's not one-to-one, of course, because I mean, given that most of the European vehicles are from China, they are higher margin, even though they sell at like comparable prices. But yeah, it should be more or less aligned, I would say.
Okay, well, let's bring, first of all, we got 2 Europeans here. We're going to bring on another European in a second. So put in the chat if you are watching from the beautiful content of Europe and put what country you're watching from. Vince.
Hello, everyone. We got 2 Swedes here.
We got 2 Swedes.
3 Europeans, 2 Swedes.
Hey,
Vince is bullish. So Vince, are you bullish about Tesla today?
That is a very nuanced question. So I think the stock has been trading on AI and robotaxi and Optimus, and I think that if we get good commentary on those, we're going to rip higher. I don't think that we're going to moon like another 7 to 80%. I sold covered calls on 450, and I'm not the believer that if car gross margins are going to be low or they don't reiterate the car guidance. I don't think I mean, depending on how bad it is, I don't think that's what the stock is trading on currently.
Okay, so what do you think has to happen for the stock to dump?
I think it has to be some delay in FSD, Optimus. I think we have a good setup also for the stock because we fell into earnings like on Christmas we were what is it, $580. So yeah, we have like fallen 20% into earnings. So like if you put I mean, I never know what the stock is going to do, but if you put a gun to my head, I think the chances of us ripping higher is a lot more than us going lower.
All right. We got a lot of places from Europe in the chat. Shout out to Belgium, Poland, Romania, London, Germany. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Andrew says Poland. Shout out my girl, Maya. Thank you for being here with Andrew as well. And thank you all for being here in the chat. So we'll cover Tesla in about 15 minutes. We'll get back to it. I think they're going to be one of the first ones to report. Meta and Microsoft might be a little bit after. But let's talk about Meta because we also got to cover them. Neil, I'll start with you. I know you've been in Meta for a long time. Stock's up 16% year to date. It's almost at $700. Are you expecting a pump or a dump? And what would get it to pump and what would get it to dump?
Man, first of all, your chat is... Everybody wants me to be the bearer of bad news when someone dies, when something bad happens. I'm like, maybe I'll start charging people for that. But Meta has been one of my best performers. We've heard also finally some positive commentary on Reality Labs a couple of days ago. I think 2024 was one of their, I think, the best year for them. Still, of course, a money-burning business, but all in all, I still expect it to be one heck of a quarter for them. Plus, I mean, the second half of this decade, which is already now, I forgot we're in 2025, it's going to be about AR, VR, and the new platform for sure. Plus more AI spending and whatever, Llama, open models.
Okay, so I want to get your take on this before I go to Amir. DeepSeek came out a couple days ago, took out NVIDIA. Zuck said he's going to spend $65 billion. Is there any world where you think Zuckerberg takes back his commitment on spending as much as he said he was going to spend last Friday?
No, I don't think so. Today, ASML reported good quarter, good guidance, good commentary. This should only accelerate AI applications, AI programs, whatnot. So I don't see why Zuck would pull back spending.
Amir, your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think Meta reports today?
I have no idea. I've never looked at Meta. But in regards to the Zuck comment, I do have some commentary because I believe it's such an interesting thing about the DeepSeek. First of all, it's open source, and it just smacked everyone across the head. Like, of course, we don't know the details. We will never know, like the accounting stuff with like NVIDIA shipping or AMD. It even turns out shipping through various routes like Singapore and stuff like that. So we don't know the truth of the matter. But it is a wake-up call. Like, did people actually believe that? I mean, I think we had this conversation once earlier, Amit, where like the spending isn't infinite. It has a ceiling. Like, how much longer can shareholders justify the businesses going out and spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars in CapEx, like across all the hyperscalers? And I'm like, this makes no sense, especially when they're all training on their own end. And I just found it funny about Microsoft on they are using our model to train. I mean, like, anything goes. Like, this is war. So Zuck probably will not go back on his CapEx budget at this point in time, but it raises the question, like, how sustainable is this into the future? So I'm sure a lot of models are being tweaked because it is very competitive. I sat a lot with the DeepSeek today and actually started looking at different stuff. It is very real. And even though the 6 million figure obviously doesn't make sense, but there's some truth in the middle, probably, that, yeah, it is probably a lot more efficient than what OpenAI is doing in terms of inference cost and stuff like that. Even Zuck, even Google. So yeah, I think it's making waves. Probably a lot of stocks are oversold as a result of it. But yeah, Zuck probably, no, he won't go back on it. He will definitely comment on it during the call, and I'm looking forward to those comments.
I think that's fair. Vince, have you given enough thought to DeepSeek, and do you think Zuck takes back his commitment?
Yeah, I tried the app and had some fun with it. I asked, like, what war crimes has the US committed, and then it was writing like a page of war crimes. And then I asked, like, what war crimes has China committed? And believe it or not, it was like listing, and it was, I wish I would have recorded it. And then when it came to the end, it jumped together and it said, I'm not able to give you an answer on this. And then I asked, so it's very biased towards China. And then I tried to use it. Amir actually rightfully commented on my tweet that I'm being an idiot because that's not the use of an LLM. So I actually was, during the day, like, giving the same prompts to ChatGPT and DeepSeek AI. And it is, I would, like, for me, like, for example, we were designing a website and then we wrote, like, please write a text for a Swedish building company that does this, you know? And then we compared the Swedish text between OpenAI and DeepSeek. And OpenAI was better, but it wasn't like, I would say, like, OpenAI was like 99% good, and then this one was like 93% good. I do think that the 6 million figure, that's how much it cost them to train. I don't believe in Chinese bookkeeping, and I think that it's best that investors don't believe in it. There's like so many ways to cheat on it. Like, for example, another company buys the GPUs, and then this company only has sort of like parts of the cost in it. And I don't think that this slows down the AI spending.
Just a quick comment, guys. I haven't seen anyone, especially Amit, like you cover this day to day. Why is no one talking about the Taiwan tariffs in one sentence? And the second sentence is, yeah, we're gonna build out this whole AI infrastructure within the US. Like, we're gonna take the lead. I'm like, with what? You're gonna tariff all the chips? Like, what are you talking about? There's no way TSM scales up like the US facilities in time to actually meaningfully contribute to that. And 70% of the TSM revenue is actually US. So I don't know what Trump is thinking there, and I don't know if it will materialize, but that's quite an interesting take as well. Like, he's basically handicapping the whole of US with that tariff talk. So that's also an interesting.
I don't know if we can believe Trump on the tariffs. I mean, look, he put tariffs on Venezuela because they didn't take the planes, and then 2 hours later it was like, okay, if you take the planes, we don't give you tariffs. So I think it's a fantastic negotiating tool. I 100% discount when Trump says there's going to be tariffs on whatever until it gets implemented.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more of a negotiation tactic, and eventually we have to see if it gets implemented. We are dumping a little bit into the close. So this is what tends to happen on presser days. We go green after Jay Powell speaks, and then it dumps a bit. SoFi's going red. S&P's still going red, maybe below 6,000. NVIDIA, 122. Quick thoughts on NVIDIA, guys. Do you like the stock here, or are you kind of staying away and sticking to the core positions you guys have? Vince, your thoughts?
I'm very tunnel visioned. I actually had a friend visit me that I know via YouTube, and he was talking to me about all these amazing stocks, and then he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, I literally only follow like Rocket Lab, Palantir, and Tesla. And I'm like, it's not that those other companies are bad, but I'm like, it's not the same as those three. So I'm probably a bad person to ask.
Okay. Amir, any urge to buy the NVIDIA dip at all?
No, but my wife bought the dip. Me personally, I haven't looked into it enough where I would feel comfortable. I did buy a ton of ASML though, so I still believe that's a great opportunity within the same kind of sector. Well, it is the same industry, so yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and you bought that a couple of weeks ago, so this has worked out well for you so far. Neil, any desire to buy the NVIDIA dip?
If I had unlimited money, I would have, but no. I bought more Micron. Because I like the memory play. I think it's down. Oh no, it's flat-ish today. And by the way, with regards to that DeepSeek thing, the 6 million figure, they even admit that it's not the whole figure, right? They wrote it in their paper. Like, note that the aforementioned cost include only the official training of DeepSeek v3, excluding the costs associated with prior research and whatever. So even they say, oh, it costs of 5.5 million, but there is way more cost behind that, but we're not going to say anything about that.
Yeah, I think the market pretty much understands that part now, but I still believe that there are some implications that they are a lot more efficient regardless. So I think like figuring out how much more and how quickly US companies can adapt to that is like the key part now. And it's at the end of the day, it is uncertainty, and markets do not like uncertainty. So until we get some investigative work on that part, it will still be a mystery to us. Even now, like Alibaba launched their own like LLM. Like, what did they do? They're also restricted on importing GPUs. So yeah, it's quite an interesting time to be alive right now.
I just want to say that before DeepSeek AI and Alibaba LLM, Amit had his own LLM like a year ago. So. He's in India. What was the cost of training your Indian LLM model on Palantir?
LLM training is very cheap if you use vector databases, but these guys, I mean, again, I was using retrieval augmented generation on like a surface layer. These guys were legit building a foundation model. So obviously that costs a lot more money. It's just the 6 million inference training headline that we're seeing is on top of GPUs. It's not the cost of GPUs. People are estimating it was at least $2 to $3 billion to get the H100s. even if they got it illegally. So I think it's definitely not the full picture. I don't think NVIDIA deserves to be down 600 billion, but nonetheless, that's where we are right now. Okay, so I'm closing off the Tesla poll. I'm putting the results here right now so we can reference it later. 57% of you say dump, 43% say pump. We have 3 minutes left. I'm going to do one more poll right here as we talk about this final stock going into the close, which is Microsoft. So Meta, pump or dump, we're putting it in the chat. This is the final one. We'll record the results and then we'll compare it after. Microsoft. Vince, any thoughts on that at all?
No, I don't follow that company. For me, they're too big, and I don't think you get the same kind of growth from it like Rocket Lab or Palantir or. For me, it's a granny stock.
Neil, any thoughts at all on Microsoft?
Well, they're going to get bombarded with questions about DeepSeek and relations OpenAI and Stargate project and all of that. But all in all, an incredible company. Probably maybe some figures around Copilot adoption, monetization will also be asked. Focus for the market will be on Azure growth as usual. So yeah, nothing more to add. Great company.
Okay, Amir, Microsoft, what do you think happens?
Yeah, similarly, he had some interesting comments about like I am good for my capex spend, kind of bragging about I'm spending a lot on capex. I think he quoted like 80 million, and I'm good for that. It doesn't look as good now after this whole thing played out. Like I'm bragging about how much I can spend on this, especially. Relations seem kind of shaky with OpenAI, considering their stake in it. I wonder if they're like reconsidering that. Of course, there's going to be a lot of questions about their stake in OpenAI and the way forward, because OpenAI partnered with Oracle to do Stargate. I mean, it's not Microsoft. So a lot of interesting stuff relating to AI. As for like the other core segments, I don't really have any comments. It's all about that part right now and how it like the implications into the future. For example, let's not forget Mark Benioff going on like a crusade the past couple of weeks, claiming how useless Copilot is, and it's all about agentic AI and how Salesforce is solving that. And he's probably going to get a lot of questions about that because user reviews of Copilot are pretty much like in the dump. So a lot of dynamics into their like future growth, AI related.
All right, here we go. We got 15 seconds left. I am literally sweating, maybe because I have this big ass scarf on in the house right now, but I don't care. This scarf feels good. So here we go. 15 seconds left. Going to be one of the craziest days of 2025 until we get earnings for Q1 2025. 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. If you're new to the channel, we ring the bell every day on the market close. All right, here we go. Now we wait. Tesla, I don't think goes till 410. Microsoft and Meta, I think, are 405, if I'm not wrong. And then we should see some action. I'm going to be closing the Meta poll right now. Meta 71% said pump, 29% said dump. So I'm writing that down right now. And then finally, we will do the Microsoft poll right here in the chat. Again, I think we have a couple minutes until they report, and then we'll look at these results later. Neil, are you nervous at all?
Not one bit. If we go down, we can buy more. If we go up, we have more paper gains.
Microsoft's down. Microsoft is down. So just in time for me to do the pump and dump poll. If anyone clicked pump, you can switch your vote to dump. But I guess I didn't know Microsoft was this early. I thought it was at 405. It's at 401. So initially 3% move on Microsoft. Meta down a little bit, but nothing substantial. Tesla, no movement there. Microsoft, 3%. I'll try to get the numbers as soon as I can get them. The street is expecting from Microsoft today $68 billion and $3.10 of EPS. So that's what they've got to beat in order to hopefully not do as bad.
And guidance is during the call only.
All right. Oh, we got it. It's a beat on the top and the bottom. It's a beat on the top and the bottom. Microsoft, a beat on the top and the bottom. 323 versus 312. That's a 10-cent EPS beat. 68.8 versus 69.6. That's about an $800 million beat on revenue.
Missed on cloud sales. 40.9 billion versus 41.1 billion.
Okay, so that's a beat of that's a miss or a beat on cloud?
Miss.
You are right. That is a miss. I'm getting all the other numbers. It looks like that's what the street is upset about. Cloud is a big indicator for them. It's their fastest growing segment. Wow, 6%. All right, street doesn't like the cloud numbers. Street does not like the cloud numbers.
What about Amazon? They're probably getting hit as well because of this.
Oh yeah, let me put the Mag 7 here on the watch list. Let's put Amazon and Apple here as well. Amazon is down 1% because of this. Apple is actually up, and then Google is slightly down, but not down as much as Amazon. NVIDIA down 1% as well. They gapped up to 123.7 at the close, which was better than the 120 level they were at, but they are slightly below that right now. Microsoft still down 4.1%. Let's see if we can pull up the actual numbers right here. Neil, you don't have the earnings, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, let's see.
I thought you were getting a Bloomberg terminal, Amit. You should be the first one to report this.
Not at that level yet. But so these are the highlight numbers that we got so far. Is Tesla going down? Is Tesla moving? Is Tesla moving? Tesla's not moving yet. Microsoft's the only one moving, down 4%. All right, so cloud revenue 40.9 versus 41.1. And again, this is the EPS and revenues. And the actual shareholder deck is not out yet. Tesla's not out yet, guys. It'll be about 7 minutes. 4:10 is when we get Tesla. Maybe 4:05, but I think it's 4:10, so we'll have a couple minutes. Vince, do you think that's bearish if cloud is a miss, or it is what it is?
Not for Tesla. Luckily, they don't have a cloud, right? So
hopefully they just go to the cloud and they get.
That hypothetical $100 billion business that Elon keeps on talking about, where you can use your car and the computer in the car for some computing power, computing sharing, whatnot.
Tesla's down. Tesla's down. Tesla's down.
Is it?
I guess Tesla missed on their cloud as well, Neil, as you mentioned. I don't know if we have the numbers. We have to have some numbers. It doesn't move like that after hours without numbers. Tesla is down 2%, which is not crazy at all. Let's see if I can get these numbers. The street might have it before everyone else. So we might not have it yet. But Tesla is moving. Oh, now it's a real dump. Now it's down 2%. Well, still 3%. Microsoft recovering a little bit. It was down 5%. Now it's down 3.7%. Meta's the only one that's not really moving after hours yet. Tesla that's a move. That's a move. So someone has to have some numbers they might like or they might not like right now. Put in the chat any of your targets on buying. For example, Meta 550, Tesla 350, Microsoft 420. I mean, what level does it have to get at even today for you to be like, all right, even after hours, I'm going to be buying? Yeah, Tesla's down 4% now. There you go. And Meta. There you go, down 2% on Meta. The red begins. The red begins. Do we have Tesla anything yet? I'm trying to see. No numbers on Tesla yet. Oh, no. Well, the revenue expectations are 27.2 and 76 cents EPS. So that might have been where they missed. Wow, 6% on Tesla. Oh my. That's red.
Somebody posted in the chat. I don't know if it's
if that's accurate, that's a $2 billion miss on revenue. That's not good. If that's accurate. Okay, I think we got it. Yeah, you're right. Wow, $2 billion miss on revenue. Q4 results, EPS 66 cents versus 73 versus 76. That's down by 3 cents. Revenue was $2 billion of a miss. Gross margin 16.3%. I don't know what the expectations were on that. Operating margin 6.2%, and free cash flow was $2 billion,
which is much better than expected. Because they delivered more than what they produced.
Right, exactly. Well, that makes sense. Neil, what's your raw reaction to a $2 billion miss on revenue?
I don't know. I don't know where the miss is coming from. Reduced ASP, significant reducing ASP. No lo sé.
You know, I said I don't really care about short-term results. I do care about like a 10% miss. So yeah, can't wait for the deck to kind of see like the detailed breakdown of the operating.
The deck is out.
statement.
I don't know if you're looking at it.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
the
it?
deck is out.
Let me pull it up right now.
I mean, energy plus 113%. Services and other revenue plus 31% year over year.
Okay, so let me read the summary and then we'll get into the numbers. Guys, Tesla is below 370 for the first time in basically, I believe, 3 months. Last time it got here was early January, so we have officially got to levels that we haven't seen in about 60 days. All right, summary. Q4 was a record quarter for both vehicle deliveries and energy storage deployments. We expect Model Y to once again be the best-selling vehicle of any kind globally for full year 2024, and we have made it even better with the new Model Y now launched in all markets. In 2024, we made significant investments in infrastructure that will spur the next wave of growth for the company, including vehicle manufacturing capabilities for new models, AI training compute, and energy storage manufacturing capacity. Affordability remains top of mind for customers, and we continue to review every aspect of our cost of goods sold per vehicle to help alleviate this concern. In Q4, cost of goods sold per vehicle reached its lowest level ever. That's good. At below $35,000, driven largely by raw material cost improvement, helping us to partially offset our investment in compelling financing and lease options. So even though they gave people like me a 0% APR, which allowed me to get a Tesla in November, they were still able to get those COGS to be at the lowest levels ever. The energy business achieved another record in Q4 with its highest ever gross profit generation. Construction of Mega Profit Shanghai was completed in December and will begin ramping this quarter. Powerwall deployments achieved another record quarter as we continue to ramp Powerwall 3 production and launch in additional markets. 2025 will be the seminal year in Tesla's history as FSD continues to rapidly improve with the aim of ultimately exceeding human levels of safety. This will eventually unlock an unsupervised FSD option for our customers and robotaxi business, which we expect to begin launching later this year. So still the 2025 timeline. We also continue to work on launching FSD supervised in Europe and China in 2025. Unfortunately, guys, there is no statement or sentence about the $30,000 affordable vehicle.
Yeah, there is.
Where is it?
There is. I mean, if you read.
Oh,
same sentences as the last quarter, which is good.
Okay, thank God. Good. There we go. Plans for new vehicles, including more affordable remodels, remains on track for the start of. Well, hold on. That's a little different. I mean, this is start of production. This isn't putting out the car.
Yeah, but they can do that pretty quickly. We've seen that with the refreshes as well, right? They start production and then it takes a couple of weeks.
No, but you believe they're going to produce the vehicle and put it out this year? Like that
First
sentence
half
is
of the
not.
year.
So in the next 6 months, they're going to begin production and start putting it up for pre-order, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I hope so, but that's
they also said something about energy. I think it's the first time I'm reading this in the volume. Same slide. They say they expect energy storage deployment to grow at least 50% year on year in 2025. I believe it's the first time.
And that was expected, right? That was expected that they would grow energy rapidly. So that's good.
Go ahead. 244% year over year for this quarter is quite brutal, but that's a lot of increase, like from 6.9 to 11. Like what happened there? But it could be seasonality as well, because we last quarter was kind of weak. We had 9.4 in Q2, so 11. I mean, it's a meaningful increase, but it's like 244 year over year. So 50% off of the 31.3 base is still very impressive, especially considering the margins are increasing as well.
Okay, let me finish reading those statements, and then I want to get some more of your thoughts, Amir. So volume, with the advance in vehicle autonomy and the introduction of new products, we expect the vehicle business to return to growth in 2025. The rate of growth will depend on a variety of factors, including the rate of acceleration of our autonomy efforts, production ramp, and our factories and the broader macroeconomic environment. We expect energy storage deployments to grow at least 50%. We have sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap. While we continue to execute on innovations to reduce the cost of manufacturing operations over time, we expect our hardware-related profits to be accomplished by an acceleration of AI. We talked about new vehicles. This approach will result in achieving less cost reduction than previously expected, but enables us to prudently grow our vehicle volumes in a more CapEx efficient manner during uncertain times. This should help us fully utilize our current expected maximum capacity of close to 3 million vehicles, enabling more than 60% growth for 2024 compared production. And our purpose-built robotaxi product Cybercab will continue to pursue a revolutionary unboxed manufacturing strategy and is scheduled for volume production starting in 2026. That is unchanged from what they said 3 months ago. Vince, raw thoughts on some of these numbers that you're seeing?
To be honest, I don't want to sound like a Tom Lee, but this for me is like a buy the dip, because the fact that the cars achieved the lowest ever COGS, that's super bullish. All the production targets are on track. FSD is doing good, and yeah, we all know that the short-term macro economy is not the best for car sales. So
yeah. I mean, dude, 2.7% is nothing. Tesla goes through that every day. So this is the market basically saying, okay, cool, robotaxi is still on track. We're good to go. That's how I'm interpreting what the market's doing right here. And it seems like they don't care. I mean, same thing for Microsoft. I mean, I know we saw a big red candle, but 2.9% is not really anything substantial. I mean, these stocks move like that every other week. So it's not like a 10, 15% down on any of these names, which is good.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear why this happened. I mean, if you look at the demand, I mean, they are clearing out the inventory. It's down from like 19 days of supply the prior quarter to like 12, which is like the lowest it has been for like, I have to expand the quarters. It's the lowest since 2022. I mean, demand is picking back up, and obviously it's they did it by cutting prices and stuff like that. So that explains the revenue hit. And as Vince said, I mean, the underlying stuff, if you just like discount the hit to revenue from vehicle sales, it looks pretty good. But yeah, I'm still filling out the Excel so I can look at the charts and visualize stuff. It's gonna take a while.
Wasn't the gross margin the lowest ever? If I like, when I was looking at it, I'm not sure if it was ever lower than it was now.
Neil, you would know this, but we haven't had lower than 16% before, right? I feel like that's the lowest ever.
I think so.
Or it's at least close to the lowest ever.
And also, the operating margin wasn't the lowest. That was lower in Q1.
Right. No, that you're 100% correct about. Right. IBM is crushing, folks. They beat by 20 cents on EPS. Revenue, they beat by literally $10 million, 17.55 versus 17.54. This is the winner on the day where 3 of the biggest companies in the world reported. IBM's up 11%. So I guess I should have done an IBM pump.
There is an interesting line on slide 9. Funny. With regards to the Cybercab lines in Gigafactory, Texas, they say here a volume production planned for 2026. Preparations are underway. Yeah, this one.
That's nothing surprising though, right?
I mean, it's good to hear, because previously it was 26, 27. Maybe now preparations are already underway for volume production plan 2026. I mean, they could have not written that, so I guess we'll take it.
Okay, I don't think we saw Meta's numbers at all yet, so that's the last one we got to see. Let's just get a quick update on Tesla right here, and we'll be waiting for Meta in just a minute.
Line for the fourth quarter for Tesla. Take a look at the stock, and as it moves right now, you're seeing that earnings per share coming in at 73 cents a share, 3 cents.
Oh, I think Meta's out. Is it out? We are green on Meta. Not crazy green, but it's green. Let me see if I can pull up these numbers. Meta is expected to beat on the top and the bottom. Let's see if we can get it. 47.8 is what the street's expecting, and about 673 of EPS is what the street is expecting. Okay, I think it might take another minute. It's going a little green, but not yet. We'll go back to Tesla, and then it should be out literally any second because it's 4:15.
Shy of estimates of 76 cents a share. Revenue 25.71 billion. That is below what analysts were expecting. They were expecting 27.265 billion. So again, a miss on the top and the bottom line. We're going to dig into the report, see if we can get you some of the key numbers within the numbers, including automotive gross margins, excluding the zero emission vehicle credits. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Phil LeBeau, thank you. Adam, I'm going to kick it back over to you too. We got shares of Tesla down 5% right now. We also know expectations.
Okay, so I don't have Meta yet. NVIDIA's pumping though, so I think that means Meta is doing good for them for some reason. NVIDIA, why is NVIDIA up 1% right now? I don't know. We touched 125. There's got to be something happening right here that's pumping them. Meta, no numbers on Meta yet. I don't know if Tesla said anything about CapEx in their deck. They're probably going to wait till the call. But NVIDIA is moving very weirdly after people rotating out of Tesla. Yeah, potentially. Lam Research, I forgot about them. Let me add them to the list. They have earnings today as well. Lam Research is up 7.25%. In terms of Lam Research's numbers, these guys, I believe, beat as well. Levi's beat on the top and the bottom. ServiceNow missed on revenue. They beat on EPS. Lam Research, they beat on the top and the bottom, 92 cents versus 88 cents. That's a beat. And then 437 billion versus 4.31. That's a beat. ServiceNow stock is down 9% after missing on revenues. So that's what we got on ServiceNow. Meta is slightly down. Amir, any other thoughts you're seeing from this Tesla deck as you're going through it right now?
Not yet, but yeah, the capex is increasing and they're building up. Like I saw an interesting tweet from Neil today saying it's all about the semi truck, and there was some commentary about beginning production the end of this year. But why do you say that that's like such a huge deal for Tesla? I haven't really looked into that, but could you share to me and the viewers here why you're really looking forward to the truck in terms of like, is it because of the margins on that, or like what are you seeing that will be a game changer when they actually come out with the truck, if we are to believe the deck here saying production end of this year?
Yeah, I mean, to me personally, it's because one, with trucks, you usually sell fleets of those. So that's already a better way, in my opinion, than just selling to one person, one Cybertruck to this guy, one Cybertruck to that guy. So the market for semi-trucks is huge, especially in Europe, right? We have trucks 24/7 going from one country to the other. If you can do that in a more comfortable way, more efficient way, cost-efficient way, I think, of course, if everything stays on track, I think the opportunity is huge, cost-wise, profitability-wise, market expansion. You don't have to rely that much on individual guys buying a car. Plus, maybe there's an FSD. There's probably going to be an FSD play as well with regards to semi-trucks. I mean, that's the long-term goal here. But the semi-truck markets in the US, in Europe, are pretty big.
You guys are saying that Meta's beat massively, but I don't have any confirmation of the numbers. If this number is correct, which I don't know if it is yet, that is a $7 billion beat. I really doubt they beat by $7 billion on revenue. I could be wrong though, but that would be a big beat if they did that. Dude, when does Meta report? They should be out by now. That's weird. You would think they're out by now, but we don't have it yet. Go ahead, Amir. Go ahead.
This is why I hate Tesla reports. So they deployed like almost double the amount of energy and the storage from the previous quarter, but the revenues are only up like like non-meaningful, like 700K. I mean, it's like how can they deploy double the amount, but like the revenue is like not even close to, like it's not even a 50% increase when you double the output. I'm curious about commentary about that, because a lot of people are looking to energy generation and storage, but it makes no sense to me just looking at the numbers. So they went from 2.3 billion to 3 billion, like the previous quarter to this one. So a 700 mil increase, but they deployed like double the amount of storage. So it's just strange as I'm like filling out the Excel sheet. I can share some charts after that's done while we wait for the call after. But do you guys have any commentary on that? Like what? Like we got the comments about automotive sales and their strategy surrounding that and why that has impacted revenues. But this one, I didn't find anything in the deck regarding that.
Let me go over to Dan Ives and see what he's saying right now, and then we'll get back to how we analyze this energy situation on Tesla. Guys, meta numbers are still not out. I don't see any of them here. We should be getting them very soon, but they're not here yet.
More on Tesla and Microsoft as we're still waiting for Meta's results. Meta's late, but Dan Ives, Tesla is here and it's way off the.
Okay, so it's not just us. The fact that he said Meta's late, that means everyone expected Meta's numbers probably 10 minutes ago, and so everyone's waiting for it.
Lows here now down just 2% after missing on the top and bottom. Is it about these cheaper vehicles?
Yeah, I think there's two key things here. One, committing first half of the year that they're going to produce those. I think there was a lot of concern that they weren't. This potential could push out in 2026. They doubled down there. And then the other thing that's important in terms of Cybercab and autonomous, basically saying robotaxi, you'll start to get parts later this year, full volume production 2026. That, look, 90% of the story right now, it's about AI, autonomous, Cybercab, what I believe is at next level. Obviously, numbers itself a little sort of soft, but that's the key. I think there's probably a stock that's going to be up tomorrow.
Microsoft's also off the lows. What matters here, particularly in the commentary, this is a earnings call where we get a lot more on guidance.
Yeah, of course. And this is one you always really have to wait till guidance, but 13 billion. In terms of that AI trajectory, I mean, that's really what the street's focused on, because this is something that's ultimately going to be 20, 25, ultimately 30 billion. That's what's driving this Nadella and Microsoft story. And even though if you look at it, you talk about currency, that could be a bit of a headwind. I think this is one, as your growth actually accelerates, I think the conference call is going to be bullish. They doubled down on the 80 billion in terms of CapEx, especially this week, hearing with DeepSeek and everything else. I think this is another one. I look at this numbers, I feel more bullish because that ultimate AI number. I mean, that's really the lotto ticket right now if you own Microsoft.
I want to go back to Tesla for a second. How important is it, given everything that he is focused on right now, including in Washington, for Musk to be on the call? And when you do think about something like robotaxi and autonomous driving, especially on a day where Waymo is announcing that it's going to expand its own taxis to 10 new cities, how much now hinges on that policy green light happening with this administration?
Yeah, I mean, look, it comes down to the deregulatory environment, the Musk bet on Trump, in terms of the bet for the ages. Now you need to see it in terms of the autonomous roadmap from a federal perspective. It is important. Obviously, Musk is on the call, talks about robotaxi, talks about ultimately the timeline there, the view of autonomous, unsupervised FSD. Look, Morgan, these are really the things that are going to drive the stock. I mean, look, earnings itself are important in the next quarter or two, but I believe when you look out, I believe the AI autonomous story, that's worth $1 trillion alone. That's really going to be front and center on this call, along with what John asked about first half of the year, making sure doubling down these lower cost vehicles are out there. That's how you get to 20, 30% type of volume growth in 2025.
Given the fact that we had this DeepSeek shakeout in the market.
Tesla just went green, 394, up 1.3%. Microsoft recovering pretty much everything it lost. Meta, we'll get the numbers in 5 minutes, but it looks like the market is pretty happy. NVIDIA as well, up 1.45% right now.
To start the week, we just got some comments from some of the CEOs, tech CEOs that John just spoke to with earnings. We're still waiting on Meta. Zuckerberg just earlier this month actually had some interesting commentary on the Joe Rogan podcast about DeepSeek. How to think about what this does to drive down cost and who the beneficiaries are going to be, because there are going to be beneficiaries. Just thinking about some of the comments from ServiceNow, for example.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it comes down to that 65 billion. They're going to reiterate that probably 3 times in terms of CapEx for Meta and Zuck, 80 billion from Microsoft. Look, DeepSeek, it was a scare. But and I continue to view it, it's bullish for the overall AI revolution, because going back to ServiceNow, Palantir, Salesforce.com, it's the use cases, it's software. That's not slowing it down in terms of what we saw in DeepSeek. And I think if you look at that, it was a shot across the bow. But ultimately, what we're going to look out in the next week or two in terms of earnings, the AI revolution is actually accelerating. And I think that is really going to be sort of a narrative that we hear even tonight.
Meta's teasing us. It's way late. What do you want to hear from them? Maybe even when it comes to Llama and its DeepSeek commentary.
Yeah, I think three things you want to hear. One, 60 to 65 billion. Just that reiteration, just showing the confidence from Zuckerberg and Meta from a CapEx perspective. Two, talking about all 3 billion plus, DAUs, like how are you going to monetize that, showing the strategy from an AI perspective. And then of course, advertising. Is it high teen growth? Our checks here at Wedbush continue to be much more bullish when it comes to what we're seeing on the advertising side. They're in a position of strength. And I think you've seen it with Zuckerberg and some podcasts, and even when he's talked about, this is a company that's on the offensive. They know that they're in a position of strength. Now show it, monetization. Obviously, they want to be on this conference call. I think it's really an important one, probably one of the most important ones in the last 4 or 5 quarters.
And we know, at least from what we heard from Meta last week, that the CapEx continues at up to $65 billion this year.
Yeah, look, DeepSeek, we continue to view it. It's going to be just a small blip in what's going to be a multi-year AI revolution.
Tesla is pumping. How do you guys? I mean, Amir, why do you think this is happening right now?
I mean, it's not that bad actually.
It's easier to be like the earnings are great. Once we see the stock go up, it's always easier.
No, I think we all said it even prior to that. I mean, margin increases on a gross profit basis if we exclude like the credits, stuff like that. I mean, it's looking good. I mean, just automotive gross margins are, of course, taking a hit, but excluding credits, it's actually increased quarter over quarter. So like as you start to dig down and look deeper, it just starts to look more and more bright. But yeah, I'm not completely done, but yeah, I hope I can share some charts. Just give me a moment. I'm looking at the cap.
Vince, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good report. I didn't understand the fall after. I mean, okay, if you just read the headline numbers, you understand. But I mean, if you looked at the report, it was a good report. It was a buy the dip opportunity, and we fell a lot into the earnings, as I said before. So that this was the more likely outcome.
NVIDIA pumping as well, 1.9%. Neil, your reaction? We still don't have Meta yet. It'll be out in probably 30 seconds. But Neil, why do you think the reversal on Tesla? And do you think it's a head fake, a short-lived reversal?
No, it seems like everything is reversing, right? Every stock right now is going green after hours almost, which is, I mean, okay, great. I did notice there is something very strange here with regards to the Cybertruck. They say that they expect the Cybertruck to be eligible for the IRA consumer tax credit, which means, do they anticipate the IRA tax rate to stay or not anymore? Because if it does stay, then
yeah,
it's slide 9.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. There are more questions than answers here. And again, Meta, guys, we were supposed to get it at 405. This is the first time in 22 quarters Meta has not posted an earnings before 420. I really wonder what is the explanation for why they're this late. Do you guys want to have our conspiracy theories? Well, what's your conspiracy theory? Why? For why?
He's in the octagon. He's late. He's busy with Dana White.
That's weird, bro. That's weird. Meta's usually their cookie cutter. They make sure these numbers are good every time, at least on time. Yeah, it's 4:30. That's weird. Neil or Vince, your take? Or Amir,
what is this stock chart running on? There's nothing, and we're seeing like some extreme volatility here. I'm not sure. Oh, it's actually just because you zoomed in. I thought it was like way bigger. No, sorry, yeah. I don't know about stock charts. I never look at them. But yeah, no idea actually. If you say that he's typically always on time, or they are typically always on time, then indeed strange. But we have seen some very strange accounting stuff. the past couple of earnings, I mean, especially one that you used to cover. What were they called again? This stock that ran to 1,000 and then down to like 50 again.
SMCI.
SMCI.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some precedents. I'm not saying Meta is SMCI, but yeah,
I know why. I know why. Because of the DeepSeek AI, they had it all printed with the capex and everything, and now they're like printing the new capex, the lower capex numbers.
So you're joking, but if there's somehow a world where Zux reevaluates their capex because of freaking DeepSeek, I mean, it's gonna be a lot to digest if that happens. This is weird, bro. 4:32. He's now 2 minutes late from 4:30.
Maybe some intern made a mistake. They put the wrong date or something for the earnings.
Dude, this is almost a $2 trillion company. This is weird. We'll get some more coverage here, but we'll try to see what's happening with Meta.
Some people are saying here in the chat that he's busy with Bezos's wife.
Okay, that's
Changing, and you're going to see that tone from these tech CEOs tonight.
Okay, Dan Ives, great to have you here.
Thanks.
Let's do IBM. I think we got them, and we'll go back to Meta.
John, IBM's quarterly earnings coming in 17 cents above Wall Street estimates. So a big beat fueled by artificial intelligence bookings. That's clients looking to IBM to accelerate workflows, lean on AI to bring costs down. IBM's artificial intelligence business has now grown to more than $5 billion. That's $2 billion more than last quarter. CFO Jim Kavanaugh telling CNBC, quote, DeepSeek validates their strategy that open versus a closed model is much more ubiquitous. Back to the numbers, total revenues for the quarter did come in line. Software grew double digits and now represents about 45% of total sales. Gross margins, worth noting, better than expected. Currency was a headwind. But for 2025, when you look at free cash flow, they expect that to increase to $13.5 billion. It was in the $12 billion range in 2020.
That's why it's up. 1.5 billion free cash flow beat. Yeah, that'll definitely get you higher. By the way, we don't have Zux yet, but we do have a statement from the newest president of the United States on J-Pow and the Fed. So here's what Donnie T had to say. Because Jay Powell and the Fed failed to stop the problem they created with inflation, I will do it by unleashing American energy production, slashing regulation, rebalancing international trade, and reigniting American manufacturing. But I will do much more than stopping inflation. I will make our country financially and otherwise powerful again. The Fed has done a terrible job on bank regulation. Treasury is going to lead the effort to cut unnecessary regulation and will unleash lending for all American people and businesses. If the Fed has spent less time on DEI, gender ideology, green energy, and fake climate change, inflation would have never been a problem. Instead, we have suffered the worst inflation in the history of our country. Okay, so that's Trump's perspective on what Jay Powell had to say today. Dude, what is going on with Meta? This is weird. This is really weird. I don't get it. This is a weird one. Everyone who's saying 5:30, and 5:30 is when the call starts, not when they report the numbers. So this is a bit different.
I'm telling you, they're calculating, they're running the new CapEx numbers because of DeepSeek AI.
No, but this is like, all right, so are you guys nervous in the chat, or you think it's a nothing burger? Because, I mean, this is almost a $2 trillion company. You don't delay your numbers. That's not how this works. Like, not in the stock market.
It's strange. It is strange.
It's
just on a different note, are you guys surprised that they still don't break out FSD, even though it's such a major part of Tesla these days? I mean, it's all the same information that I have had like for years now. Like, there's nothing new in here. So I'm kind of like, a part of me hopes that typically when you come out with like the Q4 numbers, that's a great opportunity to start reporting on more metrics. That's how companies do it. Like, they typically don't just start like Q2 or Q1. Like, they typically do it year end, and they're like, okay, into this next year, we're going to start disclosing these numbers as well. So I was kind of hoping for FSD numbers, but there's nothing.
So I don't know enough about how Tesla reports, but I would love as a shareholder to get FSD subscription revenue numbers. Neil, you've been in this the longest. Why do you think they don't break that up right now?
Well, if you take the bearish side of things, it's because if they report, it's a bad number. It's a too low number. So they rather not report that. Could be. Could be. It's also the same, like we're always asking the miles per intervention, the actual numbers. Never really get that. But yeah,
So
I agree with Amir.
there are layers to it. You could report net revenue. You could report subscriptions. How many have purchased like before they went into the only subscription? Like, what's the average cost per subscription? Like, there's so much that could help the street actually model the value of this. Like, what's the average servicing length of a Tesla vehicle? So let's say that they sell this amount and the expected life of that vehicle before they move on is like 5 years. Like, you could extrapolate that a lot. But yeah, still nothing. So, and typically we don't get that during the earnings calls either. So disappointed Amir here on that, in that regard.
Tesla with a nice reversal regardless, up 3.2%, holding 400s. But again, it was at 400 like 3 days ago. So really, outside of Lam Research, ServiceNow, and IBM, the big three, one of the three that hasn't reported, are kind of nothing burgers after hours. I mean, Microsoft's down 1%, right? So nothing crazy there.
Isn't this a great opportunity for Elon to come out on the call and say like, yeah, we have the actual only real world AI that's providing value as of right now, like real world as in physical. So this is a great opportunity to like dump on the DeepSeek stuff. Like, he's not in that rat race with Tesla. He is with Grok, but also Grok has been like clowning on OpenAI and the others, just the rate of innovation. Now he's spending a lot, sure, but for Tesla specifically, he can actually make a great case here that is going to be like probably interpreted as positive from the markets, because FSD is like the only actual application, like I guess outside of Venmo, but there's a lot of bullish stuff he could say during the call. Of course, he's going to be asked about the political distractions. I thought X was too much. I'm like, come on, Elon, you got to spend more time with Tesla. Now we also have this like Doge. So I'm sure he's going to get questions about that as well. So it's like a hit or miss if the call will be bullish or bearish for me.
Neil, your take on the political angle. Do you think the analysts even care anymore that he's so involved in the White House, or they just accepted that Elon's going to separate his time amongst many things?
I think they care. I think they'll ask some questions. Some questions might actually be Tesla related because of the IRA tax credit, and now that he has closer relations with the president. So yeah, that's that. I don't think they'll ask any questions about brand damage from the recent events, but yeah.
I think they know at this point that if you buy Tesla, you're buying Elon as well, and Elon is Elon, and you got to deal with it. Yeah.
I have a question. We like the fact that Elon runs a lot of companies. This was well known before he joined the government, right? So he's probably has his hands in, what is it, $7-8 billion companies at this point.
Yeah.
And then this is like a 9th thing that he's doing. So if he could manage to do 8, like, is he really going to break down after having 11 kids and 8 companies? Then this new thing is going to be the last straw, the straw that broke the camel's back. So I'm not sure how much investors care. And then also that the stock price went up super much because of his major bet on Trump, which was very unexpected. And I do think that...
Oh, Meta's down, down 4%. There you go. Numbers should be out. Kind of down, kind of not. Vince, finish your sentence, and then I'll keep going from there.
Or did they just lose patience? Like, F it, yeah. just dump this shit. Like, we don't got time for this.
Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead.
Where was I? So, oh yeah. That, you know, like everybody used to talk about how like he turns off Democrat voters from buying Teslas, and like I don't hear mentioned like all the new people, like all the Republicans that have for the first time said like, oh wow, who is this Elon? Oh, he's a good buy, and they're all new customers of Tesla.
So, yeah, that might be a tailwind for the company as well.
Look at Amit. I mean, you're a Republican.
I am apolitical. I care about the stock market. That is it. I'm not Democrat, not Republican.
Okay. Sorry.
I love stocks. Meta beat on the top and the bottom. $2 billion beat or rather $1.3 billion, 46.9 versus 48.3. EPS about $1.20 they beat, 674 versus 802. So don't know why they're dumping. That's a double beat.
Guidance miss. 39.5 billion compared to 39.5 billion to 41.8. Estimated number was 41.6. So okay.
Look, Meta's recovering right here. Yeah, that's a stupid reason for it to dump, if that's the reason.
So what is this? Every stock like dumps and then shoots straight. Is it like
It's
some
called
market
manipulation, Vince.
Yeah.
Manipulation.
That's what I'm saying. You have to know how to conduct traffic if you're gonna cover these stocks. It's red, it's green, it's green, it's red.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's
And
flat.
Neil, do you have like Bloomberg Terminal or something? Because we're like getting it at the same time as you, and then you're like, oh yeah, they have this really asterisk mark number here, and that's why it's going up and down.
No, I don't have Bloomberg. I have X windows open and certain accounts that tweet out like bots. So
No,
Okay.
they're really good accounts to find this stuff. I don't know why they were late. I do have one update for you guys. Trump is suing Meta for $25 million. Actually, not suing them. He signed an executive order forcing them to pay $25 million to settle a lawsuit. Or sorry, not an executive order, an agreement. So maybe that's why they were late. Maybe they were trying to figure out this legal thing before they put out their numbers or something. I don't know. But the numbers are officially out now.
Just as Zuck started embracing Trump as well.
Isn't it funny that Zuck has gone to Trump and it's like, please help the Europeans keep suing Meta, and they're like giving us all these big fines, and then he's like, fine, I settle. Pay me 25 million.
Yeah, well, 25 million should be nothing to Meta either.
Yeah, that's true.
Looks like they reaffirmed their CapEx guidance. So here are the results officially. So let's go through some of them now. Daily active people was 3.35 billion. That's up 5% year over year, which is still incredible that they can find more people to use this stuff. Ad impressions were up 6% year over year and 11% over the fourth quarter. Average price per ad is up 14% year over year. Revenue 48.3 versus 46.2 that was expected. 164 billion for the year, which is up 20% year over year, 22%. Meta 22%. Again, that's not easy to do. I think that's one of the fastest growth rates out of all the Max 7 outside of NVIDIA. So that's incredible. Expenses were 25 billion, 95 billion for the year. Capital expenditures, including principal payments on finance leases, were 14.84 billion and 39 billion for the fourth quarter. They bought back 30 billion of their stock. They gave out 1.2 billion in dividends last quarter, and they currently have 77 billion in cash. Free cash flow was 13 billion and 52 billion for the full year. CapEx, there you go. We anticipate our full year 2025 capital expenditures will be in the range of 60 to 65 billion. NVIDIA should be up on that, I would imagine, or maybe the street already knew that was going to be the case. That's why NVIDIA was pumping before. Yeah, NVIDIA right here, 1.7%. So it looks like we're not going to get a DeepSeek takeaway of CapEx that Meta needs. And Meta's flat right now, not really moving up or down. So, I mean, we thought these three companies would be massive movers, and turns out pretty much all of them are flat outside of Tesla, up 3%, but nothing too crazy, which is, I guess, what you want to see in an economy where the S&P 500 is dominated by a lot of these names right now. Let's see if we can get some more coverage right here on Meta. Let me pull this up, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay, a little bit more coverage on Tesla real quick, and then we'll get to Meta.
Energy storage, which has really been a growth area for this company, up at 50% is the expectation for 2025. More affordable models. They've talked about this for some time. They are reiterating that they expect to begin volume production in the first half of 2025. And then Cybercab volume production, that is expected to start in 2026. That's a reiteration of where they've been before. Again, shares of Tesla down a little over 2% following a miss on the top and the bottom line. Guys, back to you.
All right, Phil, thanks. Now let's bring in Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities Global.
EPS was a big beat, dude, by $2. EPS was a massive, massive beat. Neil, any thoughts on how you think they got to beat by that big of a magnitude? Was that a Q4 holiday season thing?
Probably Q4 is usually a huge quarter for them. I'll review all the earnings later, but I see that for the full year, I mean, free cash flow is growing quite quickly. It's over $50 billion now and growing. Or
It isn't
2024.
like
It's like, whoa.
isn't like
Incredible.
many billions of the earnings like Kamala trying to beat Trump?
You've got it with the jokes today, Vince. You're crushing it with these jokes. Yeah, the EPS beat
Headcount is up 10%.
Yeah, 74,000 people work at Meta, 74,067. 28 billion in debt, again, 77 billion in cash. That's a lot of cash to do buybacks or to spend on CapEx. And then free cash flow through the roof, as you said. So the reason this thing's not mooning is A, it's up 12% year over year. B, first quarter revenue growth is 8 to 15% year over year growth. It could be on the low side. So that's why the street's probably thinking Q1 is not going to be as great as they thought, it is what it is, right?
Question. I'm just out of total curiosity. Like, I find myself not ever using Facebook, and I'm just on X all the time. I just want to check if you guys have the same as, yeah. Do you guys still use Facebook and Instagram?
I mean, put it in the chat. I use Instagram here and there sometimes to watch like stupid reels before I go to sleep. But in terms of actually use it, no. Facebook, very rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use Instagram for the reels, some funny reels and just messages. WhatsApp, of course. Facebook, no. Sometimes for marketplace and some certain groups to buy or sell stuff. But other than that, no, I rarely open Facebook Blue. But Instagram, yeah.
I'm such a boomer. I don't have either. Like, I actually deleted my account. I was like, this is no value. I'm just full-time X now, and it's a lot better. My life is a lot better without Meta products. Let me put it that way.
No, that's real. I mean, the WhatsApp I use every day. WhatsApp is constantly in rotation for me, but yeah, Facebook is hard to use. And I see a lot of you guys in the chat saying some of you use it, some of you don't. But the thing is, I think we forget most people around the world in underdeveloped countries, they get their news literally through Facebook. They don't have all these media sources that are able to, generate a following like a TechCrunch. There's no TechCrunch in certain parts of the world, right? That are covering the news of whatever country they're in. So Facebook, all that user generated content is where they'll ultimately find updates on what's going on in the world. Let's check on Snapchat because Snapchat's moving or might be moving here. Snapchat had a good day, up 4%. Snapchat is up a little bit after hours as well, 1165. Meta now up 2%. There you go. Now Meta's moving 690 on Meta. Hit 693 at one point. Nvidia up a nice 1.75%. Tesla up 3.4. Microsoft the only one down about 1.54% right now.
Amir, do you have some things to show us already?
Yeah, it's in the queue. I'm waiting for Amit.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even see it. Here we go. Sorry. There you go.
So here is why basically the revenues are down. They're basically clearing out backlog. So the blue line here is total deliveries as a percentage of their production. So whenever it's above 100%, it means that they are clearing out backlog, especially if capacity utilization. So they state, okay, how much can we manufacture given our current gigafactories? And then you can measure how much of that do they utilize. And it's actually been going down. So I'm not sure why this trend is so down. Maybe they are preparing for the refresh and stuff like that, but they are clearing out backlog. And that also shows in the days of supply here. You can see we have this sharp drop that we haven't even seen, like 12 days of supply. It's the lowest since 2022. So that one is kind of huge. As you can see, like the total annual capacity has been flat for a year now. But yeah, going down to 12. So they're actively like lowering prices, clearing out all of their backlog. Not backlog, their inventory. Sorry if I said backlog. And I just thought that this was funny as well. So they grew storage deployed by 244%. And the energy generation and storage sales growth is up 112 year over year. But actually, I don't have it in this chart because it's already messy with like 2 lines. But even though you see this huge jump here, like it's not that close to a double, but like 3 billion off. in storage deployed, but the actual revenue from this is like only 700 million, from 2.3 to 3 billion, even though we went from like 6.9 to 11. So I was kind of surprised by that, because the margins aren't actually that much worse quarter to quarter. So I'm really surprised about the energy. Like, the numbers don't make sense to me. I know I asked it earlier, we didn't really get to it, but I don't think any one of us can really answer why. It's just a mystery until we get commentary. Like, how can you have such a huge jump in the storage you deploy, but you get like no revenue from it? So unless they had like some massive campaigns and price cuts similarly to the vehicles, where they just want to clear out inventories, then it makes no sense to me.
Was there nothing written about recognition of revenue, when they can fully recognize revenue from certain projects? Because even after they deploy it, I don't know, maybe there are some projects that they cannot recognize the full revenue of it, and that's why we see the difference. Could be.
Yeah, we would have to get like the actual SEC filing for the free cash flows, so we can actually look at the receivables and stuff. So I can't really tell just from the numbers, unless they comment. I didn't really read the comments in the presentation. I should do that now, actually, before the call. When is the call? In like 8 minutes?
No, so the Tesla call is at 5:30. We're going to listen to Meta, that I believe starts in 8 minutes, if I'm not wrong.
If they're on time.
Oh, my voice will not survive that long. I might have to leave you guys soon. Yeah, I'm dying already. So sorry, guys. I know some people like, clear your throat. Like, sorry, I'm sick. I shouldn't be on. My bad.
That's okay. No worries, Amir. Are you leaving right now? Or are you staying on for a little bit?
Yeah, I can. I mean, there's not much. I will wait for the filing, so I will post everything on X, probably make a YouTube video, like recap, revalue the business, see like, did fair intrinsic value move, comment on whatever Elon says. So I think there's a lot to unravel here. So the following this will be really interesting. So thank you for having me. We shared some discussions early on, looked at the numbers a bit. I am sad I can't stay for the actual fun part, because the numbers like that they're reporting now, they are not that interesting. It's all about the commentary for me. So I'm sad to miss that part. Shame on Elon for scheduling it so late. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone that's in the chat and been typing my name. I've been reading it, and thank you, Amit, and the co-hosts here, and everyone have a great evening.
All right. See you, man. Thank you. Talk later.
Krya på dig.
All right. Let's get these Meta numbers, and then I think we have the call in 5 minutes for Meta.
It's in Managing Director Gil Luria has got a buy rating on Meta, also covers Microsoft with a hold. Gil, big beats on the top and bottom here from Meta in Q4. Q1 guidance looks like a miss until you factor in currency with the strong dollar, 3-point headwind. How do you see it?
That's exactly right. I think the knee jerk initially was to the guidance being lower than consensus. Once you factor for the currency, the guidance is good. If they hit the high end of that guidance of 11 to 18% constant currency growth, investors will be very happy this year. It'll make this probably the fastest growing mega cap this year. So if they can give us those kinds of numbers and give us visibility into that and how investments feeding into that, I think investors will be happy.
You're doing double duty tonight, Meta and Microsoft. What do you want to hear from both of those calls? And given the results we just got from both of those names, how compelling are they at these levels?
So Meta stayed on track. And again, assuming they don't say something negative about the rest of the year, they should be in good shape. There will be a conversation about CapEx and how the increase in CapEx is going to drive that core business. That's a unique situation for Meta. For Microsoft, it's absolutely critical that they guide to an acceleration of revenue in Azure for the second half of the year, as they've said before. Because if you look at this quarter, what happened is they decelerated again. Azure missed expectations in spite of that heavier CapEx. The reason Microsoft has been the underperformer in the mega cap space is that they've increased investments hugely, and yet are seeing revenue deceleration. That needs to reverse itself, or they need to talk about how they're going to rein in CapEx and rein in this investment. They had 29% decline in free cash flow in the quarter. They can't keep doing that without having a drag on margin. So they need to give us an acceleration in revenue and or tell us that CapEx is going to moderate.
Okay. Gil Luria, appreciate it. Shares of Microsoft down 1.5%, and Meta are up about 2% right now.
So we got Meta in 4 minutes. Here is the Microsoft press release right here. Revenue again, $69.6 billion. That's up 12% year over year. Meta grew at about 21%. Operating income, $31.7 billion. Net income was $24 billion. Again, just incredible. $24 billion of pure profits, and EPS was $3.23. Nadella says, we are innovating across our tech stack and helping customers unlock the full ROI of AI to capture the massive opportunity ahead. Already, our AI business has surpassed an annual revenue run rate of $13 billion, up 175% year over year. This quarter, Microsoft Cloud revenue was $40.9 billion, up 21% year over year. We remain committed to balancing operational discipline with continued investments in our cloud and AI infrastructure. Office was up 15%. LinkedIn was up 9%. Xbox was up 2%. Windows OEM was up 4%. And then Intelligent Cloud, 19%, $25.5 billion. They bought back $9.7 billion worth of shares and gave back in terms of dividends as well to shareholders. Looks like Microsoft did their thing. I mean, and the market's definitely not upset at what they were able to do. NVIDIA right here is really the big winner after the bell. Robinhood as well, 51.27 after hours. Meta up about 1%, Tesla up 3.6, NVIDIA up 1.88%. I think the lowest NVIDIA got to today was 120. So if anyone bought in that 120 to 123 range, not too bad, at least for now. And then Palantir after hours is down about 1/3%, 79.50. Nothing too crazy there. All right, not bad. Neil, I imagine as Meta shareholder, you're relatively happy about this earnings.
I mean, Meta, Tesla, it's a good evening for me right now. So can't complain. But with Tesla, I'll leave my final thoughts for after the earnings call, because we all know Elon likes to talk some whatever during the call, and that usually moves the stock. So we'll see.
Vince, you left Tesla like a year ago. When did you get back into the stock? It was recently, right? You're muted.
After the iRobot event, and I got back into it via very deep in the money puts. Like it's a little bit reversed, yeah. And then actually, 2 days ago, I bought 2026 Leaps 500 strike price, and I sold 450 cover calls on them. And feeling good with this move. It's going to be nice.
It looks like your covered calls are going to be relatively safe unless we gap up to 450, but should be all right.
Yeah.
Tesla right here up 3.3%. We got the call on Meta in just a minute. Meta up about 1%. Vince, since I got you here, any quick thoughts on Rocket Lab? I mean, this thing's up 30% in like a month or 2 weeks rather. Do you like it here, or do you think it's a little bit too much before earnings?
This is like something that I always struggle with. It's like, the people who bought Palantir at $8, and you remember when we were looking at it at 30, and it's like, it feels expensive, So like on Rocket Lab, it's like, it's similar. Like I was getting it in the 4s. So it's a huge difference from where I was getting it. I think if you have a long-term time horizon, you're probably fine buying here, but I would not be surprised if in the next few months there is a bigger, like the stock cannot just go up in a straight line, right? And so I would not be surprised if we take a breather for a couple of months.
Okay.
Until Neutron.
Neil, are you in Rocket Lab?
Yes, sir. My timing was impeccable with that one. It's also around the $4 or $5. So it's a very small position, but I mean, a very small position that goes up by 500, 600% is becoming a bigger position. But yeah.
How much percent is it of your portfolio now?
Small, like 4 now, 5 maybe.
Have you guys seen like the premiums on Rocket Lab? It's insane, the option premiums.
Well, I mean, when a stock 6x's, you got a lot of gamblers that get ready.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, Meta should be starting soon. Let me pull it up. They might be late to this again, but if they're not late, they should be starting like right now. Could you imagine if they start 30 minutes later, bro? Like, that would be my question. If I was like, why were you guys late? What's going on?
I mean, that's probably the first thing that they have to say, right?
Maybe, what if you just nonchalantly yeah, we're here, we're on time. Like I do on the market open. I'm like 5 minutes late. I'm like, hey guys, good morning.
Good afternoon. My name is Krista, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the Meta fourth quarter and full year 2024 earnings conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. To withdraw your question, again, press star 1. And we ask that you limit yourself to one question. And this call will be recorded. Thank you very much. Kenneth Dorell, Meta's Director of Investor Relations, you may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to Meta Platforms' fourth quarter and full year 2024 earnings conference call. Joining me today to discuss our results are Mark Zuckerberg, CEO, and Susan Li, CFO. Before we get started, I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that our remarks today will include forward-looking statements. Actual results may differ materially from those contemplated by these forward-looking statements. Factors that could cause these results to differ materially are set forth in today's earnings press release and in our quarterly report on Form 10-Q filed with the SEC. Any forward-looking statements that we make on this call are based on assumptions as of today, and we undertake no obligation to update these statements as a result of new information or future events. During this call, we will present both GAAP and certain non-GAAP financial measures. A reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP measures is included in today's earnings press release. The earnings press release and an accompanying investor presentation are available on our website at investor.meta.com. And now I'd like to turn the call over to Mark.
All right. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. We ended 2024 on a strong note with now more than 3.3 billion people using at least one of our apps each day. This is going to be a really big year. I know it always feels like every year is a big year, but more than usual, it feels like the trajectory for most of our long-term initiatives is going to be a lot clearer by the end of this year. So I keep telling our teams that this is going to be intense because we have about 48 weeks to get on the trajectory that we want to be on. In AI, I expect that this is going to be the year when a highly intelligent and personalized AI assistant reaches more than 1 billion people. And I expect Meta AI to be that leading AI assistant. Meta AI is already used by more people than any other assistant. And once a service reaches that kind of scale, it usually develops a durable long-term advantage. We have a really exciting roadmap for this year with a unique vision focused on personalization. We believe that people don't all want to use the same AI. People want their AI to be personalized to their context, their interests, their personality, their culture, and how they think about the world. I don't think that there's just going to be one big AI that everyone uses that does the same thing. People are going to get to choose how their AI works and what it looks like for them. I continue to think that this is going to be one of the most transformative products that we've made. And we have some fun surprises that I think people are going to like this year. I think this will very well be the year when Llama and open source become the most advanced and widely used AI models as well. Llama 4 is making great progress in training. Llama 4 Mini is done with pre-training. And our reasoning models and larger model are looking good too. Our goal with Llama 3 was to make open source competitive with closed models. And our goal for Llama 4 is to lead. Llama 4 will be natively multimodal. It's an omni model, and it will have agentic capabilities. So it's going to be novel, and it's going to unlock a lot of new use cases. And I'm looking forward to sharing more of our plan for the year on that over the next couple of months. I also expect that 2025 will be the year when it becomes possible to build an AI engineering problem-solving abilities of around a good mid-level engineer. And this is going to be a profound milestone. in history. As well as over time potentially a very large market. Whichever company builds this first, I think is going to have a meaningful advantage in deploying it to advance their AI research and shape the field. So that's another reason why I think that this year is going to set the course for the future. Our Ray-Ban Meta AI will be the year when we understand the trajectory for AI glasses as a category. Many breakout products in their third generation. This will be a defining year that determines if we're on a path towards many hundreds of millions and eventually billions of AI glasses, and glasses being the next computing platform like we've been talking about for some time, or if this is just going to be a longer grind. But it's great overall to see people recognizing that these glasses are the perfect form factor for AI, as well as just great stylish glasses. These are all big investments, especially the hundreds of billions of dollars that we will invest in AI infrastructure over the long term. I announced last week that we expect to bring online almost a gigawatt of capacity this year, and we're building a 2 gigawatt and potentially bigger AI data center that is so big that it'll cover a significant part of Manhattan if it were placed there. We're planning to fund all of this by, at the same time, investing aggressively in initiatives that use these AI advances to increase revenue growth. And we've put together a plan that will hopefully accelerate the pace of these initiatives over the next few years. That's what a lot of our new headcount growth is going towards. And how well we execute on this will also determine our financial trajectory over the next few years. There are a number of other important product trends related to our family of apps that I think we're going to know more about this year as well. We're going to learn what's going to happen with TikTok. And regardless of that, I expect Reels on Instagram and Facebook to continue growing. I expect Threads to continue on its trajectory to become the leading discussion platform and eventually reach a billion people over the next several years. Threads and has been adding more than 1 million signups per day. I expect WhatsApp to continue gaining share and making progress towards becoming the leading messaging platform in the US, like it is in a lot of the rest of the world. WhatsApp now has more than 100 million monthly actives, monthly actives, and we're focused on growing its cultural influence. And I'm excited this year to get back to some OG Facebook. All right, so this is also going to be a pivotal year for the metaverse. The number of people using Quest and Horizon has been steadily growing. And this is a year when a number of the long-term investments that we've been working on that will make the metaverse more visually stunning. A lot more about Horizon's trajectory by the end of this year. This is also going to be a big year for redefining our relationship with governments. We now have a U.S. administration that is proud of our leading companies, prioritizes American technology winning, and that will defend our values and interests abroad. And I am optimistic about the progress and innovation that this can unlock. So this is going to be a big year. I think that this is the most exciting and dynamic that I have ever seen our industry. Between AI, glasses, massive infrastructure projects, doing a bunch of work to try to accelerate our business and building the future of social media, we have a lot to do. And I think we're going to build some awesome things that shape the future of human connection. As always, I am grateful for everyone who's on this journey with us. Thank you. Here's Susan.
Thanks, Mark, and good afternoon, everyone. Let's begin with our consolidated results. All comparisons are on a year-over-year basis, unless otherwise noted. Q4 total revenue was $48.4 billion, up 21% on both a reported and constant currency basis. Q4 total
Okay, so we can talk a little bit. They're not going to say anything important right there. They're just going to be reading from the PowerPoint. But Meta, 700 for the first time ever. 710, up 5%. Neil, you think that opening statement was enough to pump them up there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's crazy. This Zuck Meta turnaround since the $90, it's insane. It's insane.
It is absolutely insane. Also, Dragos, thank you, my brother, for the 50 gifted. You did not need to do that, but I appreciate that very much. A lot of you guys, 50 of you guys just got some gifted memberships to the channel. So thank you, Dragos, for that. I think Dragos owns a little bit of Meta, so you might be a little happy right now. But thank you for sharing along the blessings, and we appreciate this. I think the biggest thing Zuck's just said is that they have 4 billion users, and they believe that 1 billion of their users, 25% of their base, will have access to AI, which is what Apple was supposed to be doing with Apple Intelligence. And Zuck is clearly saying, nope, we're going to be the first ones to get 1 billion people on Meta AI. And if that happens, Meta might be the clear software AI leader here.
I mean, it makes sense, right? When you have those platforms, Facebook Blue, Instagram, WhatsApp, it's just so easy to create. So easy. For them, it's much easier, and deploy it through their distribution channels of billions of users, create AI agents, personalized ones that know you, or ones that you want them to know you in certain ways. It's just, it's a given.
Yeah, and obviously that's pumping NVIDIA right here, up 2.2%. The other big thing Meta said, they're reaffirming their CapEx guidance. Zuck sounds like a guy who's ready to spend a lot of money on CapEx. We know that he has spent money before when it came to the metaverse. It seems like he wants to spend as much as possible to maintain that lead, and the market is rewarding him here right now.
Yeah, plus, did you hear he went straight to Llama? Didn't even mention DeepSeek. Was like, that thing doesn't exist. We only talk about Llama, our own open source.
100%. The other thing he really focused on was that this is going to be the year of open source. I mean, his first statement was this is going to be a big year for AI. And he's telling all of his employees, get ready, because they're going to have to work really hard to get there. He's basically, I mean, DeepSeek is not even the elephant in the room. He'll probably be asked about it, but it's not like he is even giving them the credence of acknowledging them in the beginning, because he probably thinks it's going to be a nothing burger for Meta's long-term trajectory. All right, we'll get back into the call. We got Tesla in 20 minutes. We'll transition to Tesla in just 20 minutes.
27%, followed by Asia Pacific and Europe at 23% and 22% respectively. North America grew 18%. In Q4, the total number of ad impressions served across our services increased 6%, and the average price per ad increased 14%. Impression growth was mainly driven by Asia Pacific. Pricing growth benefited from increased advertiser demand, in part driven by improved ad performance. This was partially offset by impression growth, particularly from lower monetizing regions and surfaces. Family of Apps other revenue was $519 million, up 55%, driven primarily by business messaging revenue growth from our WhatsApp business platform. We continue to direct the majority of our investments toward the development and operation of our Family of Apps. In Q4, Family of Apps expenses were $19 billion, representing 76% of our overall expenses. Family of Apps expenses were up 5%, primarily due to growth in infrastructure costs and employee compensation, which were partially offset by lower legal-related expenses. Family of Apps operating income was $28.3 billion, representing a 60% operating margin. Within our Reality Labs segment, Q4 revenue was $1.1 billion, driven by hardware sales and up 1% year over year. Reality Labs expenses were $6 billion, up 6% year over year, driven primarily by higher infrastructure costs and employee compensation, partially offset by lower restructuring costs. Reality Labs operating loss was $5 billion. Turning now to the business outlook. There are two primary factors that drive our revenue performance: our ability to deliver engaging experiences for our community and our effectiveness at monetizing that engagement over time. On the first, daily actives continue to grow across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp year over year, both globally and in the United States. In Q4, global video time grew at double-digit percentages year over year on Instagram, and we're seeing particular strength in the US on Facebook, where video time spent was also up double-digit rates year over year. We see continued opportunities to drive video growth in 2025 through ongoing optimizations to our ranking systems. We're also making several product bets that are focused on setting up our platforms for longer-term success. Creators are one of our central focuses. On Instagram, we continue to prioritize original posts in recommendations to help smaller creators get discovered. We also want to ensure creators have a place to experiment with their content, so we introduced a new feature in Q4 that allows creators to first share a reel with people who don't follow them. This allows them to test content and see what performs best before deciding to share it with their followers, and also helps introduce them to entirely new audiences. Creative tools is another area we're investing in. In the coming weeks, we'll launch a new standalone app called Edits that provides a full suite of creative tools to make it easier for creators to make great reels on their phone. Another focus is making it easier for people to connect over content. Reels are already reshared over 4.5 billion times a day, and we've been introducing more features that bring...
Reels are shared 4.5 billion times a day, and my girlfriend sends me 4.4 billion of those 4.5. So there you go. That's where most of their engagement comes from.
We're seeing very positive early results, and we'll look to expand this globally in the coming months. On Threads, we made tremendous progress in 2024, and our focus this year is establishing Threads as the place people come to keep up with what they care about. We're making a number of updates to our recommendation systems to prioritize more recent posts, surface content from top creators, and ensure people see more of the content from accounts they follow. We will also continue improving custom feeds so people can build personalized feeds on topics they're interested in. Finally, Meta AI usage continues to scale with more than 700 million monthly actives. We're now introducing updates that will enable Meta AI to deliver more personalized and relevant responses by remembering certain details from people's prior queries and considering what they engage with on Facebook and Instagram to develop better intuition for their interests and preferences. Now to the second driver of our revenue performance, increasing monetization efficiency. The first part of this work is optimizing the level of ads within organic engagement. We continue to grow supply on lower monetizing surfaces like video, while optimizing ad supply on each of our surfaces to deliver ads at the time and place they will be most relevant to people. For example, we are continuing to better personalize when ads show up, including the optimal locations in the depth of someone's feed, to introduce ad supply when it's most optimal for the user and revenue. This is enabling efficient supply growth. Longer term, we also see impression growth opportunities on unmonetized surfaces like Threads, which we are beginning to test ads on this quarter. We expect the introduction of ads on Threads will be gradual and don't anticipate it being a meaningful driver of overall impression or revenue growth in 2025. The second part of increasing monetization efficiency is improving marketing performance. The ongoing enhancements to our ads ranking systems are an important driver of this work. In the second half of 2024, we introduced an innovative new machine learning system in partnership with NVIDIA called Andromeda. This more efficient system enabled a 10,000 times increase in the complexity of models we use for ads retrieval, which is the part of the ranking process where we narrow down a pool of tens of millions of ads to the few thousand we consider showing someone. The increase in model complexity is enabling us to run far more sophisticated prediction models to better personalize which ads we show someone. This has driven an 8% increase in the quality of ads that people see on objectives we've tested. Andromeda's ability to efficiently process larger volumes of ads also positions us well for the future as advertisers use our generative AI tools to create and test more ads. Another way we're delivering value for advertisers is through increased automation of their ad campaigns with Advantage+. Adoption of Advantage Plus shopping campaigns continues to scale, with revenue surpassing a $20 billion annual run rate and growing 70% year over year in Q4. Given the strong performance and interest we're seeing in Advantage Plus shopping and our other end-to-end solutions, we're testing a new streamlined campaign creation flow so advertisers no longer need to choose between running a manual or Advantage Plus sales or app campaign. In this new setup, all campaigns optimizing for sales, app, or lead objectives will have Advantage Plus turned on from the beginning. This will allow more advertisers to take advantage of the performance Advantage Plus offers, while still having the ability to further customize aspects of their campaigns when they need to. We plan to expand to more advertisers in the coming months before fully rolling it out later in the year. Advantage Plus Creative is another area where we're seeing momentum. More than 4 million advertisers are now using at least one of our generative AI ad creative tools, up from 1 million 6 months ago. There has been significant early adoption of our first video generation tool that we rolled out in October, Image Animation, with hundreds of thousands of advertisers already using it monthly. Next, I would like to discuss our approach to capital allocation. Our primary focus remains investing capital back into the business, with infrastructure and talent being our top priorities. On the first, we expect compute will be central to many of the opportunities we're pursuing as we advance the capabilities of Llama, drive increased usage of generative AI products and features across our platform, and fuel core ads and organic engagement initiatives. We're working to meet the growing capacity needs for these services by both scaling our infrastructure footprint and increasing the efficiency of our workloads. Another way we're pursuing efficiencies is by extending the useful lives of our servers and associated networking equipment. Our expectation going forward is that we'll be able to use both our non-AI and AI servers for a longer period of time before replacing them, which we estimate will be approximately 5.5 years. This will deliver savings in annual CapEx and resulting depreciation expense, which is already included in our guidance. Finally, we're pursuing cost efficiencies by deploying our custom MTIA silicon in areas where we can achieve a lower cost of compute by optimizing the chip to our unique workloads. In 2024, we started deploying MTIA to our ranking and recommendation inference workloads for ads and organic content. We expect to further ramp adoption of MTIA for these use cases throughout 2025, before extending our custom silicon efforts to training workloads for ranking and recommendations next year. From a hiring standpoint, our focus continues to be on adding technical talent to support our strategic priorities. In the fourth quarter, nearly 90% of our year-over-year headcount growth was within the R&D function. The remaining growth was primarily in cost of revenue as we added infrastructure headcount to support our data center operations. In 2025, we expect headcount growth will continue to be primarily driven by technical roles across our priority initiatives within infrastructure, monetization, Reality Labs, generative AI, as well as regulation and compliance. We anticipate headcount growth in our business functions will remain relatively limited. To achieve our ambitions in these areas, we will need to continue executing at a rapid pace. We're supporting this by building tools to help our engineering base be more productive. As part of our efficiency focus over the past 2 years, we've made significant improvements in our internal processes and developer tools and introduced new tools like our AI-powered coding assistant, which is helping our engineers write code more quickly. Looking forward, we expect that the continuous advancements in Llama's coding capabilities will provide even greater leverage to our engineers, and we are focused on expanding its capabilities to not only assist our engineers in writing and reviewing our code, but to also begin generating code changes to automate tool updates and improve the quality of our code base. Finally, we expect our strong financial position will enable us to support these investments while continuing to return capital to shareholders through share repurchases and dividends. Moving to our financial outlook, we expect first quarter total revenue to be in the range of $39.5 to $41.8 billion. This reflects 8 to 15% year-over-year growth, or 11 to 18% growth on a constant currency basis, as our guidance assumes foreign currency is an approximately 3% headwind to year-over-year total revenue growth based on current exchange rates. This also reflects the effect of lapping leap day in the first quarter of 2024. While we are not providing a full year 2025 revenue outlook, we expect the investments we're making in our core business this year will give us an opportunity to continue delivering strong revenue growth throughout 2025. Turning now to the expense outlook. We expect full year 2025 total expenses to be in the range of $114 to $119 billion. We expect the single largest driver of expense growth in 2025 to be infrastructure costs driven by higher operating expenses and depreciation. We expect employee compensation to be the second largest factor as we add technical talent in the priority areas that I referenced earlier. Turning now to the CapEx outlook. We expect our full year 2025 capital expenses will be in the range of $60 to $65 billion. We expect CapEx growth in 2025 will be driven by increased investment to support both our generative AI efforts and our core business. The majority of our CapEx in 2025 will continue to be directed towards our core business. On to tax. Absent any changes to our tax landscape, we expect our full year 2025 tax rate to be in the range of 12 to 15%. In addition, we continue to monitor an active regulatory landscape, including legal and regulatory headwinds in the EU and the US that could significantly impact our business and our financial results. In closing, this was a good year for our company, with investments across our priority areas delivering strong business performance and innovative new products for our community. We have a compelling set of opportunities to invest in this year, which we expect will help us drive continued strong growth and develop transformative technologies that shape the future of our company and of the industry. With that, Krista, let's open up the call for questions.
Thank you. We will now open the lines for a question and answer session. To ask a question, please press star one on your touchtone phone. To withdraw your question, again, press star one.
Tesla's not live yet. I'll switch when they go live, which should be any minute, but I guess we got 2 minutes of questions on Meta.
For clarity. If you are streaming today's call, please mute your computer speakers. And our first question comes from the line of Brian Nowak with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my questions. Mark, you sound we appreciate all the excitement about this year and all the innovation to come. I know there's a lot of announcements throughout the course of the year, but wonder if you could just share a few sort of high-level examples of your vision on new potential use cases and offerings that could drive utility for your users and value for your advertisers as you sort of think about Llama 4 and Meta AI changing throughout 2025. And then the second one on custom silicon, maybe a question for either of you, just any learnings on the difference between your custom silicon and third-party chips in your ranking models and results, and how should we think about the main gating factors as to how quickly you'll be able to move a higher percentage of your engagement to your custom silicon? Thanks.
On the first one, I tried to lay this out in my opening comments a bit. I mean, we're very focused on Meta AI as a highly intelligent and personalized assistant that you can access across our apps. There's a website, you can access it outside of our apps too. I think that the quality of this is just, it's going to keep on improving and improved a lot over the last year. We're also finding more ways that it's useful to integrate it into our services to help more people discover it. I think that that's undoubtedly why so many hundreds of millions of people are using it today, is because it's kind of easy to discover what we're doing and then keep using it. I don't know. I want to keep some surprises and fun for the stuff that we're going to release this year. I gave a bit of detail on what we're planning to do with Llama 4 that I'm sure technical people will enjoy because we hadn't talked about that before. But I'm going to refrain from adding a whole lot more on what we're launching this year. But it's the different things that I talked about. It's Meta AI. I do expect Llama 4 to be a very exciting set of releases. It's not just one thing. Just like with Llama 3, there were kind of a few different models at different dates. I think we'll see that with Llama 4 too. And then the AI engineer piece, I'm really excited about. I mean, I don't know that that's going to be an external product anytime soon, but I think for what we're working on, our goal is to advance AI research and advance our own development internally. And I think it's just going to be a very profound thing. So, I mean, that's something that I think will show up through making our products better over time. But yeah, and then as that works, there will potentially be a market opportunity down the road. But I mean, for now, in this year, we're really, I think I don't think you're going to see this year like an AI engineer that is extremely widely deployed, changing all of development. I think this is going to be the year where that really starts to become possible and lays the groundwork for a much more dramatic change in 26 and beyond. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Brian, I'm happy to take your second question about custom silicon. So first of all, we expect that we are continuing to purchase third-party silicon from leading providers in the industry. And we are certainly committed to those longstanding partnerships, but we're also very invested in developing our own custom silicon for unique workloads where off-the-shelf silicon isn't necessarily optimal. And specifically because we're able to optimize the full stack to achieve greater compute efficiency and performance per cost and power, because our workloads might require a different mix of memory versus network, bandwidth versus compute, and so we can optimize that really to the specific needs of our different types of workloads. Right now, the in-house MTIA program is focused on supporting our core ranking and recommendation inference workloads. We started adopting MTIA in the first half of 2024 for core ranking and recommendations inference. We'll continue ramping adoption for those workloads over the course of 2025 as we use it for both incremental capacity and to replace some GPU-based servers when they reach the end of their useful lives. Next year, we're hoping to expand MTIA to support some of our core AI training workloads and over time, some of our Gen AI use cases.
Your next question comes from the line of Eric Sheridan with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much for taking the question. Maybe I can go back to your comments on open source. Can you help us understand how your views continue to evolve with respect to the competitive dynamic around your approach with open source versus others in the industry, and how your approach to open source could possibly bend the cost curve and improve return on capital for AI over the medium to long term? Thanks so much.
Yeah, I mean, on open source, I think the best analogy for us is what we did with Open Compute, where we weren't first to building the system. So then by the time that we got around to building it, it wasn't really a big advantage to have it be proprietary. So we shared it. And then a lot of the industry adopted what we were doing, contributed innovations back to it. By standardizing it on it, that meant that a bunch of supply chains standardized on building it, which made prices more efficient for everyone. I think what we see here is
okay, Tesla just went live. Here we go.
Relations here at Tesla, and I'm joined today by Elon Musk and Vaibhav Taneja and a number of other executives. Our Q4 results were announced at about 3 p.m. Central Time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. Before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thank you. So in summary, in Q4, we set a record and delivered vehicles at an annualized rate of nearly 2 million a year. So congratulations to the Tesla team on excellent work achieving record production and deliveries. Model Y was the best-selling vehicle of any kind for 2024. That's worth noting. Not just the best electric vehicle, the best vehicle of any kind on Earth. Number one was Model Y. We're staying focused on maximizing volumes and obviously doubling down, or I don't know what. Really, I was going to say doubling down on autonomy, but really it's like autonomy is like 10xing things, frankly. Doubling is not even enough. We made many critical investments in 2024 in manufacturing, AI, and robotics that will bear immense fruit in the future. Immense. Like it's, in fact, to such a scale that it is difficult to comprehend. And I've said this before, and I'll stand by it. I see a path. I'm not saying it's an easy path, but I see a path to Tesla being the most valuable company in the world by far. Not even close. Like maybe several times more than. I mean, there is a path where Tesla is worth more than the next top 5 companies combined. There's a path to that.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's like an incredibly, it's like a difficult path, but it is an achievable path. And that is overwhelmingly due to autonomous vehicles and autonomous humanoid robots. So our focus is actually building towards that. And that's what we're laying the ground. We laid the groundwork for that in 2024. We'll continue to lay the groundwork for that in 2025. In fact, more than lay the groundwork, actually, so we'll be building the structure. We're building the manufacturing lines, I'd like setting up for what I think will be an epic 2026 and a ridiculous 27 and 28. Ridiculously good. That is my prediction. As yet, very few people understand the value of full self-driving and our ability to monetize the fleet. I've some of these things I've said for quite a long time, and I know people have said, well, Elon's the boy who cried wolf like several times, but I'm telling you, there's a damn wolf this time, and you can drive it. In fact, it can drive you. It's a self-driving wolf. For a lot of people, they're like their experience of Tesla autonomy is like if it's even a year old, if it's even 2 years old, it's like meeting someone when they're like a toddler and thinking that they're going to be a toddler forever. But obviously not going to be a toddler forever. They grow up. but if their last experience was like, oh, FSD was a toddler, it's like, well, it's grown up now. Have you seen it? It's like walks and talks. That's really what we've got. And it's difficult for people to understand this because human intuition is linear, as opposed to what we're seeing is exponential progress. So that's why my number one recommendation for anyone who doubts is simply try it. Have you tried it? When's the last time you tried it? And the only people who are skeptical are those who have not tried it. So, a passenger car typically has only about 10 hours of utility per week out of 168. A very small percentage. Once that car is autonomous, my rough estimate is that it is in use for at least a third of the hours of the week. So call it 50, maybe 55 hours of the week. And it can be used for both cargo delivery and people delivery. So even, let's say people are asleep, but you can deliver packages in the middle of the night or resupply restaurants or whatever the case may be, whatever people need at all hours of the day or night. That same asset, the thing that is these things that already exist with no incremental cost change, just a software update, now have 5 times or more the utility than they currently have. I think this will be the largest asset value increase in human history. Maybe there's something bigger, but I just don't know what it is. And so people who look in the rearview mirror are looking for past precedent, except I don't think there is one. So, but the reality of autonomy is upon us. And I repeat my advice: try driving the car or let it drive you. So now it works very well in the US, but of course it will over time work just as well everywhere else. Yeah. So we're working hard to grow our annual volumes. Our constraint this year, our current constraint is battery packs this year, but we're working on addressing that constraint. And I think we will make progress on addressing that constraint. And then things are really going to go ballistic next year and really ballistic in 27 and 28. So, yeah. So a bit more on full self-driving. Our Q4 vehicle safety report shows continued year-over-year improvement in safety for vehicles. So the safety numbers, if somebody has supervised full self-driving turned on or not, the safety differences are gigantic. And people have seen the immense improvement with version 13 and with incremental versions in version 13. And then version 14 is going to be yet another step beyond that is very significant. We launched the Cortex training cluster at Gigafactory Austin, which was a significant contributor to FSD advancement. And we continue to invest in training infrastructure at our Texas headquarters. So the training needs for Optimus humanoid robot are probably at least ultimately 10x what's needed for the car, at least to get to the full range of useful roles. You can say like, how many different roles are there for a humanoid robot versus a car? A humanoid robot has probably 1,000 times more uses and more complex things than in a car. That doesn't mean the training scales by 1,000, but it's probably 10x. Now you can do this progressively, so it doesn't mean like Tesla's going to spend like $500 billion in training compute, because we will obviously train Optimus to do enough tasks to match the output of Optimus robots. And obviously the cost of training is dropping dramatically with time. So, but it is like it's one of those things where I think long-term Optimus will be. Optimus has the potential to be north of $10 trillion in revenue. Like it's really bananas. So then you can obviously afford a lot of training compute in that situation. In fact, even $500 billion of training compute in that situation would be quite a good deal. Yeah. The future is going to be incredibly different from the past, that's for sure. We live at this unbelievable inflection point in human history. So, yeah. So, the proof is in the pudding. So we're going to be launching unsupervised full self-driving as a paid service in Austin in June. So
June. We got a launch date, June for Texas.
In talk with the team, we feel confident in being able to do an initial launch of unsupervised, no one in the car, full self-driving in Austin in June. We already have Teslas operating autonomously unsupervised full self-driving at our factory in Fremont, and we'll soon be doing that at our factory in Texas. So thousands of cars every day are driving with no one in them at our Fremont factory in California. They will soon be doing that in Austin and then elsewhere in the world, the rest of our factories, which is pretty cool. And the cars aren't just driving to exactly the same spot, because obviously it all wouldn't collide at the same spot. The cars are actually programmed with what lane they need to park into to be picked up for delivery. So they drive from the factory end of line to their destination parking spot to be picked up for delivery to customers. And they're doing this reliably every day, thousands of times a day. It's pretty cool. Like I said, the Teslas will be in the wild with no one in them in June in Austin. So what I'm saying is, this is not some far off mythical situation. It's literally, 5, 6 months away, 5 months away, kind of thing.
Wow.
And while we're putting our toe in the water gently at first, just to make sure everything's cool, our solution is a generalized AI solution. It does not require high precision maps of a locality. So we just want to be cautious. It's not that it doesn't work beyond Austin. In fact, it does. We just want to put a toe in the water, make sure everything is okay, then put a few more toes in the water, then put a foot in the water with safety of the general public and those in the car as our top priority. With regard to Optimus, obviously I'm making these revenue predictions that sound absolutely insane. I realize that, but they are. I think they will prove to be accurate. Yeah. Now with Optimus, there's a lot of uncertainty on the exact timing, because it's not like a train arriving at the station for Optimus. We are designing the train and the station and in real time while also building the tracks. and so they're like, why didn't the train arrive exactly at 12:05? I'm like, we're literally designing the train and the tracks in the station in real time so you're like, how can we predict this thing with absolute precision? It's impossible. The normal internal plan calls for roughly 10,000 Optimus robots to be built this year. Will we succeed in building 10,000 exactly by the end of December this year? Probably not. But will we succeed in making several thousand? Yes, I think we will. Will those several thousand Optimus robots be doing useful things by the end of the year? Yes, I'm confident they will do useful things. The Optimus in use at the Tesla factories, production design 1, will inform what we change for production design 2, which we expect to launch next year. And our goal is to ramp Optimus production faster than maybe anything's ever been ramped. Meaning, like, aspirationally, an order of magnitude ramp per year. Now, if we aspire to an order of magnitude ramp per year, perhaps we only end up with a half order of magnitude per year. But that's the kind of growth that we're talking about. It doesn't take very many years before we're making 100 million of these things a year. If you go up by, let's say, a factor, by 5x per year. It's insane. Not 50%, 500%. So, these are big growth numbers. But we do need to. This is an entirely new supply chain. It is entirely new technology. There's nothing off the shelf to use. We tried desperately with Optimus to use any existing motors, any actuators, sensors. Nothing worked for a humanoid robot at any price. We had to design everything from physics first principles to work for a humanoid robot, and with the most sophisticated hand that has ever been made before, by far. And Optimus will be able to play the piano, and be able to thread a needle. I mean, this is the level of precision no one has been able to achieve, and so it's really something special. Yeah. So, and my prediction long term is that Optimus will be overwhelmingly the value of the company. Regarding energy, back to Earth. It was Elon. Can you come back here for a minute? Okay, back to Earth. Energy storage is a big deal, and will become. It's already super important. Will become incredibly important in the future, and it is something that enables far greater energy output to the grid than is currently possible, because the grids are the vast majority of the grid has no energy storage capability, so they have to design the power plants for very high peaks, and assuming that there's no energy storage. Once you have grid energy storage and home-based energy storage, the actual total energy output per year of the grid is dramatically greater than people think. Maybe it's at least double. This will drive the demand of stationary battery packs, and especially the grid scale ones, to insane, basically as much demand as we could possibly make. We have our second factory, which is in Shanghai, that's starting operation, and we're building a third factory. So we're trying to ramp output of the stationary battery storage as quickly as possible. Now, there is a challenge here where we have to be careful that we're not robbing from one pocket to take to another pocket, because for a given gigawatt hours per year of cell output, we have to say, does it go into stationary applications or mobile applications? We can't go into both. So we have to make that trade-off. But overall, the demand for total gigawatt hours of batteries, whether mobile or stationary, that will grow in a very, very big way over time. So in conclusion, 2025 really is a pivotal year for Tesla. And when people look back on 2025 and the launch of unsupervised full self-driving, true real-world AI that actually works, I think they may regard it as the biggest year in Tesla history, maybe even bigger than our first car, the Roadster, or the Model S, or the Model 3, or Model Y. In fact, I think it probably will be viewed 25 as maybe the most important year in Tesla's history. There is no company in the world that is as good at real-world AI as Tesla. I don't even know who's in second place. Like, you say, who's in second place for real-world AI? I would need a very big telescope to see them. That's how far behind they are. All right.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. And Vaibhav has some opening remarks as well.
Yeah, I'll talk about things on Earth. As Elon mentioned, in Q4, we set records in vehicle deliveries and energy storage deployments in an uncertain macro environment. We were able to grow auto and energy storage volumes both sequentially and on a year-on-year basis. For this, I would like to thank the efforts of everyone at Tesla to make this a reality, and our customers who helped us achieve this feat. Coming into the fourth quarter, our focus was to reduce inventory levels in the automotive business, and we accomplished that by ending the quarter with the lowest finished good inventory in the last 2 years. This was a result of offering not only attractive financing options, but also other discounts and programs which impacted ASPs. While we saw volume growth in almost all regions that we operate in, we hit a new record for deliveries in the Greater China market. This is an encouraging trend since we grew volume in a highly competitive BEV market. On the automotive margin front, we saw a quarter-over-quarter decline, primarily due to lower ASPs and due to the recognition of FSD-related revenue in Q3 from feature releases. Our journey on cost reduction continues, and we were able to get our overall cost per car down below $35,000, driven primarily by material costs. This was despite increased depreciation and other costs as we prepare for the transition to the new Model Y, for which we recently started taking orders in all markets. All our factories will start producing the new Model Y next month. While we feel confident in our team's abilities to ramp production quickly. Note that it is an unprecedented change, and we're not aware of anybody else taking the best-selling car on the planet and updating all factories at the same time. This changeover will result in several weeks of lost production in the quarter. As a result, margins will be impacted due to idle capacity and other ramp-related costs, as is common in any launch, but will be overcome as production is ramped. We will be introducing several new products throughout 2025. We are still on track to launch a more affordable model in the first half of 2025, and we'll continue to expand our lineup from there. On a dollar-for-dollar basis, we believe we have the most compelling lineup today.
Derek, thank you for the 50 gifted. Appreciate you, Derek. Elon is the most bullish I've ever heard, at least in the past year and a half. 20 trillion of Optimus revenue. He says that this is a real thing. FSD launching in June of 2025. They're about to do Q&A, but this is one of the most bullish calls I've heard, at least from Elon's perspective. Tesla right here, up 5% after hours right now.
Deployments reached an all-time high in Q4 and resulted in, but declined sequentially. This was a result of higher, growth came from Megapack and Powerwall. Both businesses continue to be supply constrained, and like Elon mentioned, we're trying to ramp up production with Megafactory Shanghai coming online this quarter onwards. While quarterly deployments will likely continue to fluctuate.
Okay, I think we can talk for like 5 minutes. They're going to keep going through the numbers. Neil, let me get your raw reaction to this, and then we'll get into Q&A. Tesla's pumping. Elon said a lot of stuff. What do you think about what he's saying here?
He did say a lot of stuff. And to be honest, like, he says amazing stuff in the most boring way possible. It's like falling half asleep, and he's like, oh, Optimus, $10 trillion in revenue potential. I could see that happening. I could see Tesla becoming the largest company in the world, beating the 5 other, and then suddenly talks about something else. Like, again, I do wonder if Trump didn't win the election if he would have been that bullish. But yeah, he talks a big game. Now, again, it's up to him to deliver. Hopefully not too late. On time is a big ask. Hopefully not too late.
I mean, this is pretty incredible. They're still doing, the CFO is still talking, so no Q&A yet. The biggest sentence I heard, there was a lot of sentences. We'll talk more after Q&A. The biggest one I heard that I'm, quite frankly, it's one of those sentences where, I mean, he said, I know people say I'm the boy who cried wolf, but I'm telling you, there is a damn wolf, and the wolf can drive you autonomously. I know Elon gets hyperbolic. As you said, Neil, he has ambitious timelines, but it seems like he is feeling FSD is closer than ever. The autonomous revolution is closer than ever. I use FSD 13 every day. So Elon said, once you use it, you can't be a skeptic. And quite frankly, I have to agree with that. I am paying $99 a month for my car to drive me. And Tesla's getting 90% margins on that, because it's incredible. It's an incredible product. And so it seems like Elon is very, very optimistic about that potential. He says Optimus can grow 500% year over year. I mean, if they hit those numbers, maybe they do become more valuable than the next biggest 5 tech companies combined. I mean, that's a hell of a statement, but if they get there, it would be incredible returns for Tesla shareholders.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Neil, go ahead.
No, he was talking about margins and energy, and then there was something about the Megapack factory. I know they have one in the US, one in Shanghai now. Did he say they might work on a third one, or did I mishear that?
I don't know, but I think you are right that they said they're working on a third one, which is another reason the stock pumped. By the way, guys, Tesla's up 5%. Microsoft, I don't know what they said on the call, but that's down 6%. Something happened on that call. NVIDIA is now down from the 2% it was up. It was up 1% now. And Meta, how are they holding up? Meta is now, well below 700, 716 to 691. Some pretty dramatic moves after hours. Something Microsoft just said. We'll go back to Tesla. I'll try to figure out what they said, and I'll get it to you guys. But
probably guidance.
Yeah, they tend to do guidance on the call, right? So it had to be something that got the street upset.
Year basis. In conclusion, like Elon said, 2025 is going to be a pivotal year for Tesla. There are a lot of investments which we've made and will continue to make in this coming year, which will set the pace for the next phase of growth. And it is something which now I'm getting out of Earth. It is going to be out of this world. And we just are putting the right foundation. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Now we will move over to investor questions, and we'll start with say.com. The first question is unsupervised FSD still planned to be released in Texas and California this year? What hurdles still exist to make that happen? You addressed the Texas piece, I think, already. So
yeah, I'm confident that we will release unsupervised FSD in California this year as well. Yeah. In fact, I think we will most likely release unsupervised FSD in many regions of the country, of the US, by the end of this year. Like I said, we're just putting a toe in the water, then a few toes, then a foot, then leg, then make sure everything's cool. We're looking for a safety level that is significantly above the average human driver. So it's not anywhere like much safer, not like a little bit safer than human, way safer than human. So the standard has to be very high, because the moment there's any kind of accident with an autonomous car, this immediately gets worldwide headlines, even though about 40,000 people die every year in car accidents in the US, and most of them don't even get a mention anywhere. But if somebody scrapes a shin with an autonomous car, it's headline news.
We want to avoid that.
Yeah. So it's really from the only thing holding us back is an excess of caution. But people can certainly get a feel for how well the car would perform as unsupervised FSD by simply allowing the car to drive you around your city and see how many times did you have to intervene, not where you wanted to intervene or were a little concerned, but how many times did you have to intervene for definite safety reasons? And you will find that that is currently very rare, and over time, almost never.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is, are there any discussions with other auto companies about licensing FSD?
Yes. What we're seeing is, at this point, significant interest from a number of major car companies about licensing Tesla Full Self-Driving technology. What we've generally said is the best way to know what to do is take one of our cars apart, and then you can see where the placement of the cameras are, what the thermal needs are of the Tesla AI inference computer. That's better than us, sending some CAD drawings. And then we're only going to entertain situations where the volume would be very high. Otherwise, it is not worth the complexity. And we will not burden our engineering team with laborious discussions with other engineering teams until we obviously have unsupervised full self-driving working throughout the United States. I think the interest level from other manufacturers to license FSD will be extremely high once it is obvious that unless you have FSD, you're dead.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is Optimus now mostly design locked for 2025 production?
Optimus is not design locked. So when I say we're designing the train as it's going down, we're redesigning the train as it's going down the tracks while redesigning the tracks and the train stations.
Yeah, we've already answered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rapidly evolving. It's rapidly evolving in a good direction. It's pretty damn amazing, actually. The team's doing a fantastic job. We really have by far the best team of humanoid robotics engineers in the world. And we also have all the other ingredients necessary, because you need a great battery pack, you need great power electronics, you need great charging capability, you need great communications, good Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity. And of course, you need real-world AI, and then the ability to scale that production to huge levels. So you have to design for manufacturing, the things that really what other companies are missing is they're missing the real world AI, and they're missing the ability to scale manufacturing to millions of units a year.
I think that is an underappreciated thing, that industrialization of design is a whole different thing than making a design.
Yeah, prototypes are trivial, basically. Prototypes are easy, production is hard. I've said that for many years. The problem is that there's like those who've never been involved in production or manufacturing somehow think that once you come up with some eureka design that you magically make 1 million units a year. And this is totally false. There needs to be some Hollywood story where they show actually the problem is manufacturing. I never even heard of one. It just doesn't fit the narrative. The Hollywood thing is like, it's like some lone inventor in a garage goes eureka, and suddenly it files a patent, and suddenly there's millions of units. But listen, guys, we're missing really 99% of the story. 1% is, that old saying, 1%, like a product is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. The Hollywood shows you the 1% inspiration but forgets about the 99% perspiration of actually figuring out how to make that initial prototype manufacturable and then manufactured at high volume such that the product is reliable, low cost, consistent, doesn't break down all the time. And that is 100 times harder, at least, than the prototype.
Then you have to get it there, deliver it back. Yeah,
you're going to meet all these regulations, and there's a zillion regulators around the world. It's very difficult.
Great, thank you. The next question is also Optimus related. When will Tesla start selling Optimus, and what will the price be?
Well, for this year, we expect to just close the loop with Optimus being used internally at Tesla, because we obviously can easily use several thousand humanoid robots at Tesla for like the most boring, annoying tasks in the factory, like the tasks nobody wants to do, where we have to like beg people to do this task, and then it's like the robot's totally happy to do the boring, dangerous, repetitive task that no humans want to do. And that's also actually some of the easiest use cases for us to have Optimus do things like like load the hopper, like for like say in body line, if you're like transporting pieces of sheet metal to the robot, which is already robot, the robot welding line for the body, and you just have to nonstop take things out of a from one fixture to another fixture, and it's a very boring job. That's the kind of thing what Optimus could do.
The guy who runs around and dumps all the weld studs in the bins.
Yeah, there's a ton of boring jobs, tedious jobs, dangerous, slightly dangerous jobs that's perfect for Optimus. So we expect to use Optimus for those tasks at our factories, and that'll help us close the loop for improvement this year. It's really with production version 2, which I think launches sometime next year. I'd like it to be the beginning of next year, but maybe it's more like the middle of next year. And then we have to just with a production line that is designed for on the order of 10,000 units a month versus 1,000 units a month. So like when you design a unit when you design a production line for 1,000 units a month, it takes you a while to actually reach anywhere close to 1,000 units a month. When you design, and for any given production output, it takes you a while to actually reach its potential. But the current line that we're designing is for roughly 1,000 units a month of Optimus robots. The next line would be for 10,000 units a month. The line after that would be for 100,000 units a month. And I think probably with version 2, as a very rough guess, because there's so much uncertainty here, very rough guess that we start delivering Optimus robots to companies that are outside of Tesla in maybe the second half of next year, something like that. But like, so this is such an exponential ramp that it'll go from no one's receiving humanoid robots to these things like coming out like crazy.
So we can't build enough.
Well, we're always going to be in the we can't build enough situation. Demand will not be a problem, even at a high price. And then, as I said, like once we're at a steady state of above 1 million units a year, I think the production, and I'm confident at 1 million units a year that the production cost of Optimus will be less than $20,000. If you compare the complexity of Optimus to the complexity of a car, so just the total mass and complexity of Optimus is much less than a car. So I would expect that at similar volumes to, say, the Model Y, which is over 1 million units a year, that you'd see Optimus be, I don't know, half the cost, or something like that. What the price of Optimus is a different matter. The price of Optimus will be set by the market demand.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is, what is the status on mass production of the Tesla Semi, and how will it impact revenue at scale?
I can take that one. So we just closed up the Semi factory roof and walls last week in Reno. It's ahead of schedule, which is great with the weather. In Reno, you never know what's going to happen, but we're prepping for mechanical installation of all the equipment in the coming months. The first builds of the high volume Semi design will come late this year in 2025 and begin ramping early in 2026. But as we've said before, the Semi is a TCO no-brainer. Like it's really similar to Optimus. It's set by how much people pay, and then it as a total cost of ownership, it's much cheaper than any other transportation you can have. So at that point, when we're at scale, it will meaningfully contribute to Tesla's revenue. Well, I think it's difficult to say how much. Anything you want to add, Elon?
No, I mean, I do think that Tesla Semi, again, with autonomy, is going to be incredibly valuable. That we actually have a shortage of truck drivers in America. That's one of the limiting factors on transport. People are human, so they get tired, and sometimes, there's. I have a lot of respect for truck drivers because it's a tough job. But because it's a tough job, there's not that many people that want to do it. And there's actually fewer, I believe, if my understanding is correct, there are fewer people entering truck driving as a profession than are leaving it.
Yes.
So when you think, yeah, exactly. So when you consider, okay, there's more people leaving truck driving as a profession than entering it, well, we're going to have a real logistics problem as time goes by. So autonomy will be very important to meet that need. So like, yeah, it'll. I don't know. It's a several billion a year opportunity, which I don't know in this context is that these days does several billion a year matter? I think it does. Not nothing. It's probably it's probably like a 10 billion a year thing. Yeah, it's $1 billion a month at some point probably. But it's all this is going to pale in comparison to Optimus. So yeah, $1 billion a month it's a lot, but it's not. It's going to be like 1% of Optimus or something.
Great. Thank you very much. We already covered the next question in opening remarks. So moving on, is it expected that Tesla will need to upgrade Hardware 3 vehicles? And if so, what is the timeline and expected impact to Tesla's CapEx? I'm going to refer to cost there.
They're really asking the tough questions, aren't they?
I guess we haven't stopped working on Hardware 3 yet. We are still making software releases. We released the 12.6 release recently, which was like a baby V13, but it's a significant improvement compared to what they had previously. And people are still finding ways to distill larger models into smaller models. So we're not giving up on Hardware 3. We're still working on it. Just the releases will trail the Hardware 4 releases.
Great. Thanks, Ashok.
Yeah. I mean, I think the honest answer is that we're going to have to upgrade people's Hardware 3 computer for those that have bought full self-driving. And that is the honest answer. And that's going to be painful and difficult, but we'll get it done. Now I'm kind of glad that not that many people bought the FSD package.
Right, thanks, Elon. The next question, has Tesla given up on ramping their solar roof product?
No, we're sorry,
Mike.
Oh, Mike, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can take it. Yeah, Solar Roof remains a core part of the residential product portfolio, and it still remains where it draws a lot of customer interest despite it being premium products. We've worked on multiple iterations of engineering to make the product easier to install and distribute by reducing the SKU count. And more recently, rather than direct installation, we are focused on growth through our nationwide network of certified installers. And many of those, they've been installing Solar Roof with us for many years.
Yeah, that's actually turned out to be a much better way for is just let the roof, just supply product to the roofing industry. And especially when somebody's is getting a new roof anyway, or building a house from scratch. Obviously, this is by far the most efficient time to put in a solar roof, as opposed to putting a solar roof on a house where the roof still has 20 years of life. That's not economically sensible, but if it's a new house or the roof needs to be replaced anyway, then solar roof can make a lot of sense. And it is a premium product. It's like it's kind of like Model S, Model X or something. It's like it's a premium product. I think it looks really cool. And your house generates electricity, and if you combine it with the Tesla Powerwall battery, then you can be self-sufficient. So even if the grid turns off for several days, your house still works. And your roof looks awesome. So it's like, I recommend anyone who can afford it, get the Tesla Solar Roof and the Powerwall. Your family's life might depend on it.
Get enough.
And just in terms of convenience, your kids are not going to yell at you because their computers don't work because the power went out and you can't charge your phone.
True story.
Actually happens. Yeah. You literally can't even call anyone because your phone's out of juice.
Thank you very much. The next question was covered in opening remarks, so we will skip that. And the last question from say.com, what technical breakthroughs will define V14 of FSD, given that V13 already covered photon to control?
Well, we've gone a hell of a lot further than photons to output. We've been in sort of the nothing but nets situation, nothing but neural nets from photons to controls for a while now. We're just improving the neural nets. I guess we could get into some of the technical details to some degree. I have to say, I continue to be amazed by just how effective autoregressive transformers are at solving a wide range of problems. I mean, Ashok, is there anything you'd like to add there without giving away the sort of family secrets?
I mean, except for things we put on X already. So continuing to scale the model size a lot. We scale a bunch in V13, but then there's still room to grow. So we're going to continue to scale the model size. We're going to increase the context length even more. The memory is sort of like limited right now. We want to increase the amount of memory it holds, like to even minutes of context for driving. We're going to add audio to handle emergency vehicles better. Add like data of the tricky corner cases that we get from the entire fleet. Any interventions or any kind of user intervention. We just add that to the data set. So the scaling in basically every axis, like training compute, data set size, model context, and also all the reinforcement learning objectives.
Great. Alrighty. With that, we will move over to analyst questions. So just as a reminder, you will need to unmute yourself to ask your question. The first question will be coming from Daniel Roeska from Bernstein. Daniel, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Daniel from Bernstein. Elon, Tesla's share price clearly already includes quite a few of the anticipated benefits you talked about today, yet realizing what you call kind of difficult but achievable will take some time. What are you pushing the Tesla executive team to do differently now to accelerate the innovation in order to realize the value you described for the company?
Well, I mean, we're working on perfecting real world AI and making rapid progress week over week, if not month, certainly month over month, but often week over week. I spent a lot of time with the Tesla AI team and the Tesla Optimus team. I mean, I go where the problem is essentially. Like, not, if something's, this is, unfortunate. Sometimes like don't talk to a Tesla executive and like, hey, we don't see you very often. I'm like, that's because your stuff is working awesome. Your stuff is working really great. Unfortunately, I don't see them very often because I go where the problem is. So, well, not where the problem is. What's the greatest challenge that lies ahead? So, obviously, there are many challenges with Optimus. It's a hard problem to solve. Many challenges with vehicle autonomy, but we're making rapid progress in both. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, sounds like you've got a conviction that the pieces you need, right, are in place.
Yeah.
If we kind of go 12 months down the line and we look back, and you had some of those, but maybe what are the kind of 2 or 3 KPIs that would tell you that you're on track and it's going the right way, and the pieces you've put in place are the right pieces, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for. Or other way around, where would it be off most likely in your mind that you say, hey, I need to go back there and I need to change something to enable the team better?
Well, I mean, I think the predictions that I'm making here are going to be pretty accurate. And it's worth noting, like, so sometimes people say, oh, Elon's always late. Well, actually, no, the problem is that the media reports on when I'm late, but never reports on when I'm early. So sure, I'm optimistic, but I'm not that optimistic. There are many cases in the past where we've been early, such as completion of the Shanghai factory, or in fact, factory completion has generally been ahead of schedule, not behind. Yeah, but I like I said, I'm very confident we'll have released unsupervised full self-driving, fully autonomous Teslas in Austin and several other cities in America by the end of this year. That's probably everywhere in America next year, and everywhere in North America at least. I think in terms of next year, our constraint, I think, is likely to be just regulatory. Like Europe really has, for example, Europe is a layer cake of regulations and bureaucracy, which that really needs to be addressed. There's this joke like America innovates, Europe regulates. It's like, guys, there's too many refs on the field.
And China copies.
For example, for us just to release supervised full self-driving in Europe, even though it works really well, we have to go through a mountain of paperwork with the Netherlands, which is our primary regulatory authority. Then the Netherlands presents this to the EU in, I think, May. And there's like this big EU country committee. We expect it to be approved at that time, but there's nothing we can do to make that May happen sooner. In fact, nobody seems to do. I guess all the countries would have to somehow vote in some way to have it happen sooner than May. Otherwise, it won't happen sooner than May. So then when is unsupervised FSD allowed in Europe? I'm like, May next year, maybe? I don't know. Well, I have to find out when the EU is meeting again. Sometimes it's a 12-month cadence, sometimes a 6-month cadence. Then China, which is also a huge, gigantic market, we do have some challenges because they won't they currently allow us to transfer training video outside of China. And then the US government won't let us do training in China. So we're in a bit of a bind there. So like a bit of a quandary. So what we're solving that is by literally looking at videos of streets in China that are available on the internet to understand, and then feeding that into our video training so that publicly available video of street signs and traffic rules in China can be used for training And then also putting it in we've got a very accurate simulator, and so it will train using sim for bus lanes in China. Like bus lanes in China, by the way, one of our the biggest challenges in making FSD work in China is the bus lanes are very complicated. And there's like literally like hours of the day that you're allowed to be there and not be there. And then if you accidentally go in that bus lane at the wrong time, you get an automatic ticket instantly. So it's kind of a big deal, bus lanes in China. So we have to put that into our simulator, train on that. The car has to know what time of day it is, read the sign. Anyway, we'll get this solved. But I think we'll have unsupervised FSD in almost every market this year, limited simply by regulatory issues, not technical capability. And then unsupervised FSD in the US this year in many cities, but nationwide next year. And hopefully we have unsupervised FSD in most countries by the end of next year. That's my prediction with best data that I have right now.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question will come from Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley. Adam, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Thanks, everybody. So, Elon, you've said in the past about LiDAR, that for AVs at least, that LiDAR is a crutch, a fool's errand. I think you even told me once, even if it was free, you'd say you wouldn't use it. You still feel that way?
Yes.
Care to elaborate, or just I have another question?
Look, we even have a radar in the car and we turned it off.
I got it. All right. So you're still, yeah. People think you're crazy, but
obviously humans drive without shooting lasers out of their eyes. I mean, unless you're Superman, but like humans drive just with passive visual. Humans drive with eyes and a neural net and a brain neural net. So sort of biological, so the digital equivalent of eyes and a brain are cameras and digital neural nets, or AI. So that's the entire road system was designed for passive optical neural nets. That's how the whole road system was not designed, and what everyone is expecting that's how we expect other cars to behave. So therefore, that is very obviously the solution for full self-driving as a generalized solution for full self-driving, as opposed to the very specific, neighborhood by neighborhood solution, which is very difficult to maintain, which is what our competitors are doing.
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, LiDAR doesn't work in the fog, guys.
Yeah, LiDAR has a lot of issues. Like I don't have some like the SpaceX Dragon docks with the space station using LiDAR, that a program that I personally spearheaded. I don't have some fundamental bizarre dislike of LiDAR. It's simply the wrong solution for driving cars on roads.
Right. You understand how LiDAR works. I get it.
Literally designed and built our own red LiDAR. I oversaw the project, the engineering of the thing. It was my decision to use LiDAR on Dragon, and I oversaw that engineering project directly. So I'm like, we literally designed and made a LiDAR to dock with the space station. If I thought it was the right solution for cars, I would do that, but it isn't.
Yeah. All right. Just as a follow-up, at CES, you said, I'm paraphrasing, that any AI will be able to do any cognitive task not involving atoms within the next 3 or 4 years. And that would imply, Elon, that before the end of President Trump's term in office, that AI would be moving pretty damn quickly into the physical world, into the world of photons and atoms. And I'm thinking, given your work with the administration, how confident are you that the U.S. will have the manufacturing and the supply base to make good on your excitement about physical AI by the by latter this decade? We seem pretty vulnerable right now. I've seen you tweeting about, Xing, excuse me, Elon, about China. Freudian slip, about China making more drones in a day than the U.S. makes in a year, and all the entanglement of the supply. So what has to happen in the U.S. to make that possible? What's your message? And What can you do about it, and what's relevant for Tesla shareholders? Thanks, Elon.
Well, at Tesla, obviously, we think manufacturing is cool. SpaceX, we think manufacturing is cool. But in general, for talented Americans, they need to beyond my companies, beyond me, and the people and my teams here. In general, we need to make manufacturing cool again in America. And like, I honestly think people should move from like law and finance into manufacturing. That's my honest opinion. We have too much. This is both a compliment and a criticism. We have too much talent in law and finance in America, and there should be more of that talent in manufacturing. Yeah. I mean, at Tesla, we're making sure that we can continue to manufacture our stuff, even in the event of geopolitical tensions rising to very high levels.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question will come from Pierre Ferragu at New Street. Pierre, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hey, thanks guys for taking the question. So I have a question, Elon, on deploying like robotaxis in June in Austin. So that's great news. And I was wondering if it means I can, drive down to Austin in June and try unsupervised by myself with my car. Yeah. Or it's going to be more like your fleet testing it.
It'll be our fleet testing it. That's our sort of toe in the water. We'll be scrutinizing it very carefully, make sure it's not something we missed. But it will be, autonomous ride hailing for money in Austin in June. And then as swiftly as possible, other cities in America. And I expect us to be operating, doing unsupervised activity with our internal fleet in several cities by the end of the year. Then it's probably next year when people are able to add or subtract their car from the fleet. So, kind of like Airbnb, where you can sort of add or subtract your house or your guest room. You can say like add it to the Airbnb inventory or don't add it to the Airbnb inventory. If you're traveling for a month, you can, or whatever the case may be, you can let other people use your house, and then you can. Anyway, so that's probably next year because we want to just make sure we've ironed out any kinks. And a lot of it is, it's not like we're not splitting the atom here. It's just a bunch of work that needs to be done to make sure the whole thing works efficiently, that people can order the car, it comes, it's the right spot, does exactly the right thing, all the payment systems work, the billing works.
Okay. But then, like, so my follow-up question would be, I have a Tesla, I have FSD, and I have to keep my eyes on the road all the time. It's super boring because I don't really need to intervene anymore. And but the really annoying thing is that I can't just check my emails. And so, are you working also on introducing, like a kind of like free unsupervised where I could be eyes off and I would be able to check my email and would just need to, with a 5-second notice, have to go back and keep an eye on what's happening? Or is that something you're working on as well? Because it feels so close with V13 that I wonder if it's something we could expect for this year. It's a very selfish question I ask for myself, to be honest.
Yes. We need to be very confident that the probability of injury is low before we allow people to check their email and text messages. In fact, right now we're in this perverse situation, which you may have encountered yourself, where people will actually go to manual driving to check their text messages. Yep. So the computer doesn't yell at them, and then put it back on autonomous mode once they've checked the text messages, which is obviously less safe, significantly less safe than just letting people check their text once in a while. without the computer yelling at them.
Yeah.
But we just want to be cautious about that at the advent of that. We're in this sort of, neither here nor there, but just for, I mean, I think it's not for many months longer. But yeah, we're in this perverse situation where people will turn the car off autopilot so the computer doesn't yell at them, check their text messages while steering the car with their knee and not looking out the window.
And here, like Elon said, right? If you have any problems with the system, and when people are not looking, that is a dangerous thing. And that's what we're trying to avoid. It's the capability is getting there, but it's not fully there. That's why he was using the term of dipping our toe in the water, then getting comfortable, then keep going.
Anyway, it's not far off. But we want to prove to ourselves, prove to ourselves, and obviously prove to regulators that the car is unequivocally safer in autonomous mode than not. And we're not far off. So this is like low single-digit months.
To the safety aspect, we did publish our vehicle safety report today, and in Q4 was one crash for every 5.9 million miles driven, compared to a crash every 700,000 miles without autopilot.
Right. So we're getting to the point where it's an order of magnitude.
Yeah, it's like 8.5 times safety. So it's just about there.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Great. Alrighty, and our last question will be coming from Dan Levi at Barclays. Dan, feel free to unmute yourself.
Great. Good evening. Thank you for taking the questions. Elon, you've talked about the need for proliferation of sustainable transport in the past as part of sort of broader push to sustainable energy. Look, I know we've heard a lot about President Trump's plans to reverse the EV mandate, and I think there's a view that given regulation is a driver of EV uptake, this could slow EV uptake in the U.S. So what would be your view on the right policy in the U.S., given your comments in the past of the need to push for sustainable transport?
At this point, I think that sustainable transport is inevitable. I'm highly confident that all transport will be autonomous electric, including aircraft, and that it can't be stopped any more than one could have stopped the advent of the external combustion engine, steam engine, or one could have stopped the advent of the internal combustion engine. Like even if you've been the biggest horse advocate on earth, you're like a horses are the way, not these newfangled automobiles. You can't stop the advent of the automobile. It's going to happen. And you can't stop the advent of electric cars. It's going to happen. The only thing holding back electric cars was range, and that is a solved problem.
Great. And then as a follow-up, in the past, Elon, you had made a comment that you'd be willing to sell cars at effectively no margin to get the cars out there. And there's a comment in the release today of the rate of acceleration of autonomy efforts does impact volume growth. So perhaps you could just talk about, with your efforts on FSD, how we should think about your desire to put more vehicles out in the market to take advantage of your tech advances.
So I'm not sure I understand the question. We have a lot of cars. I mean, we've got millions of cars out there.
So is your question, Dan, that how do we marry our future growth aspects with FSD?
And go ahead and unmute yourself, Dan.
Yeah, more so just how much more aggressively you would be willing to sell your cars versus in light of your improvements on FSD.
Well, right now the constraint we're trying to solve is battery production. as opposed to demand. So now Q1, we've got this massive factory retooling for the new Model Y, for example, that obviously has a short-term impact on output. But the problem we're wrestling with, in fact, we're talking that the executive team and I were talking about just before this call was how we've got to figure out how to increase total gigawatt hours of battery production this year, one way or another. That's the constraint on our output.
Great. Alrighty. And with that, I think we are all done for today. So thanks everyone so much for all of your questions. We look forward to talking to you next quarter. Thank you very much and goodbye.
All right, there we go. Thank you to everyone who is still here. We're going to spend the next 15 minutes breaking down what we heard. I got a lot to say, but I'll get started with you, Neil. What was your raw reaction to that earnings call?
Well, very, very interesting. A lot about what could happen in the future, right? Robots, super unsupervised FSD, huge market caps, recognition of revenue in the trillions for the bot. So lots of promises. Maybe I missed it, but did you hear anything about this affordable car that's coming out in the next couple of months, or does all the analysts, they don't give a damn about it?
I am shocked we have not heard. Is anyone else shocked in the chat? We didn't hear a single question about it. Do you think they didn't want to piss him off and ask him that question? I mean, that's weird. That's really weird.
I mean, the last guy asked a ridiculous question that nobody understood. I don't think he even understood the question. So why not ask this? I mean, it's crazy. For years and years, every analyst was focused on, oh, you have to sell cars, you have to sell cars, you have to sell cars. And now you have the opportunity to ask him about the next damn car. But no, all you do is ask about other stuff. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, it is weird, bro. They like the last, I zoned out the last 20 minutes. I don't even know what they were talking about. So, but the first 10 minutes was really exciting. So I guess we'll talk about that and then we'll keep going from there. First of all, for everyone wondering why NVIDIA is down right now, Microsoft gave a little bit less of CapEx guidance than what the street expected. Now, this should not be surprising. The reason people were afraid about NVIDIA in terms of CapEx was if Microsoft and Zucks would take back the initial CapEx guidance that they gave for 2025. Everyone knew that it was going to slow down in 2026. So NVIDIA is down because Microsoft said, hey, our CapEx will be strong in 2026, but it won't be as strong as 2025. So it'll decrease year over year. But everyone's expecting NVIDIA's growth rate to decrease year over year from 2025 to 2026 as well, right? They don't expect 300% growth for the next 3 years. So that's why NVIDIA is down right now. I think that's kind of a nothing burger. Zucks reaffirmed his CapEx guidance. Microsoft did for 2025. So we'll see how the street reacts to that tomorrow. But NVIDIA giving away all of its pump from 127 back to 122. Meta as well, 692 was at 716. It looks like when Meta was at, call it 790 and Zucks was really pumping, talking about Instagram Reels and 700 million users using Meta AI. That's when a lot of after hours orders started coming in. And then I guess towards the end of the call, people were like, all right, we're just going to take our profits and leave. So dumped from 716 to 692, but still up on the day. And then Tesla initially dumped to like 368, now at 406, at one point got to 413, but ending the day right here at around up 4%.
And
now,
Meta also added, they said they're ramping up their use of custom Broadcom chips. So they're aiming to cut reliance on NVIDIA GPUs, apparently.
Okay, so Microsoft right here is down 6%. Street did not like their guidance. Broadcom's up 5% because Meta said they're going to be using more Broadcom. I don't think that's necessarily bearish NVIDIA, but that's definitely bullish Broadcom. So that's why Broadcast is getting some of that action. Now, maybe that is bearish NVIDIA. We got to do a lot more digging on exactly what the implications of that means. But Broadcom right here pumping about 4.3% after Meta said that. AMD as well, they are basically flat after hours right now. Okay, so earnings. Tesla, I really liked the first 20 minutes of this call. And maybe it's because I like when Elon whispers sweet nothings into my ear. But he was pretty adamant that this is not a nothing. In fact, he was adamant that he is not the boy who cried wolf, but that there is a damn wolf, and the wolf can drive you autonomously. Neil, what was your first reaction to when you heard this quote from Elon?
I'm like, okay, now we might be talking, but then again, I mean, I don't know. It's just so many things he has said. I mean, if we weren't Tesla shareholders, weren't fan of Elon, it would be so easy to be haters, so easy, because of all the things that he says during the earnings call. The guy freaking tweeted when he was on the earnings call, like reacting to a meme, which is like, okay. Making a lot of promises, making a lot of predictions, not always on time, okay. So yeah, when he says that, but then he talks about China and Europe with regards to FSD and getting approved there. Things are not in his hands, so yeah, I just don't see these things evolving that quickly, in my opinion. It's great that we're going to see it in Austin first, a Tesla fleet, not from people's own cars. But we'll see. We also see that Uber is down a little bit. I'm an Uber bull, Uber Tesla bull, and Uber bull.
You're a walking contradiction. There's no way you can be bullish on both, right? There's no way.
And I'm also a Waymo bull because I own Alphabet Google.
Oh, so you're just betting on great companies, it seems like. That's what's going on here. Look, I'm a sucker for these types of statements, bro. It's I come from a debate background. I come from a communication background. I made a lot of these types of statements during my debate speeches, and I would look to see if the judge is smiling on those like little punchlines. And as soon as they would smile, I'd be like, I won the debate. I know, because there's something about perceptual dominance in a debate round when you can have a line like this. And this is a hell of a line. It's a hell of a line to say there is a damn wolf and the wolf can drive you autonomously. Now, maybe that's just me, but I really like that type of confidence. I know a lot of you in the chat are like, Amit, Elon's been this confident forever. I get it. But then I use FSD every day. And I'm like, wait a second. I get that he's overly optimistic and stuff, but it really is that good. Like, it really is that good. And if it's only going to get better and better and better, I don't see a world where more and more people are not convinced that this is going to be one of the biggest opportunities when it comes to AI. Elon also said there is a path for Tesla to become bigger than the next 5 companies combined. We are setting up to have a epic 2026 and ridiculous 2027, 2028. So it seems like 2025 is a year where they're going to be expanding their ecosystem when it comes to FSD. We'll talk more about how they plan to do that. But he does think it's setting them up for a really good next 5 years, end of the 2020s. That we're in right now, and he thinks FSD is going to be the leader to get us there. Now, he also said the launch date for unsupervised FSD officially will be happening in June of 2025 in Austin, Texas. He also said he thinks by the end of the year they can launch in many other regions. So 2 questions for you, Neil. Number 1, do you believe they can actually get to other regions outside of Texas? And B, do you actually believe they will launch in Texas in the next 5 months?
Texas, yes, because it's basically their home. So I think they'll launch. It won't be like, even they said it's going to be on a small scale. So why not? Why not? It's their own fleet. They can test it out. California will be the next stop, San Francisco or something like that. After that, I don't know, maybe copy the cities that Waymo is going in, since they got regulatory approval. Of course, Tesla will have to prove with the data that it's as safe and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, maybe Miami, Phoenix, where is Waymo available? I don't know. They also plan on launching in 10 other cities this year, apparently. So
well, that's what I was. Do you believe that or no?
Yeah, I do, because anyways, it's super remotely controlled cars with Waymo. So it's probably going to be like 2 cars in this city, 2 cars in that city, some testing out. And I mean, I haven't tested it out. I have only been in 1 Tesla FSD ride in my life, from a restaurant to a hotel, which was pretty cool. But Waymo's, from what people tell me, works quite good.
Where were you when you had that FSD ride?
In Denver.
And how long ago was that?
No, July.
Oh, okay. So that was 12.5.
6 months ago, yeah.
Yeah. And were you like impressed by that experience, or?
It's funny. I ordered an Uber to experience Tesla FSD. I asked the guy if he has it. He's like, yeah, you want me to try it? I'm like, yeah, for sure. And then we were like just talking, and he's like this, and like we go left, we go right. It's like, it's very, very cool. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, well, I experience it every day, and I mean, it is just absolutely incredible. So, look, I think it's a bit ambitious to do 10 more cities. I mean, let's get Texas out of the way. I really hope that it's going to happen. Elon was pretty adamant. He even said, quote, "This is not some mythical thing. We will be live in the next 5 months." And so if that's the case, then Texas will be the first pilot to get FSD unsupervised officially started. Now, he also said we are seeing significant interest from other auto companies for licensing our FSD technology. I think the reason for this is because most of them are realizing that without FSD, you are dead. Jensen said that their Cosmos platform is being used to create synthetic data to help other OEMs build their own version of FSD. Neil, do you think Tesla wins here, or do you think NVIDIA wins here in terms of accessing the autonomy market, or do both win?
I mean, there is this debate, right? Do you need unlimited real-world data, or can you reach it with synthetic data? I mean, probably you need real-world data, but I think with the amount of, well, the advancements of AI and all the computing that's happening right now, I do think that you can have simulations eventually that will be just as good, because you can just simulate a million scenarios. Of course, you might not catch all of them, but also with real-world data, you're not catching all of the edge cases out there. So we'll see. Again, Tesla has the cars. They have it all, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a big market too. I think there's a big market. I think both can be big winners there. But obviously, if Elon is saying that we're seeing significant interest, hopefully that is, the Hondas and the Mercedes.
Only high volume customers.
Right. High volume, like they have to be big brands that are getting
interested. It's not Rivian.
You're correct. It's not Rivian.
Do you have hardware 3 or 4 in your car?
I'm pretty sure hardware 3.
Okay, because now he basically admitted that you will get an upgrade on the house.
Yeah. No, right. In the middle of the call, he said that as well. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the beautiful thing about Tesla is they can change a couple lines of code, and then boom, like there's a whole new experience in your car. And that's why I think Elon's thinking FSD 14.15 is going to be leaps and bounds beyond FSD 13. So he kind of knows where this world is going. In terms of Optimus, which is the last thing we'll talk about, he says when asked about when is Optimus launching. So right now we are just focused on Optimus doing the most boring tasks in our Tesla factories internally, all the stuff that no one wants to do. Optimus is very happy to do the boring jobs. Our goal is to build a production line that can scale 10,000 to 100,000 units a month. This is a rough guess, but I think we can start delivering robots to other companies by the second half of next year. That's 2026. It'll cost us about $20,000 to make them. Demand will not be a problem. He went on to say that the market price of an Optimus will be determined by market dynamics, but the cost will probably be $20,000. Their cost of goods sold for a Tesla car is about $34,000. Reaction to this? Do you think he's pumping Optimus too hard, or do you think it's practical for next year?
I mean, we're yet to see Optimus, right, in its full glory. Let's say, yes, he was at the event, but then again, was he remote controlled? Yes, no. I don't know. This earnings call was really Elon at its peak, right? Elon with full of promises, with full of ultimate goals and all of that. It's the start of 2025, so he does have a lot of time to prove himself this year, but he better deliver. He better deliver because he does have everything going his way right now. Politically, AI-wise, autonomy, all of that movement going towards him. So, yeah, I guess it's time to prove yourself. I do hope we have a little bit more events. I only wish that Tesla had maybe a bit more, like other companies, some conferences with analysts to discuss some other stuff throughout the year, not just only for earnings calls, where 75% of it, I don't know, we're half asleep because they're talking about things that are quite ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know.
So Optimus is the biggest thing that I cared about. I actually said before the call today that I think there's a wild card that they really focus on Optimus. I said wild card because, it's not really real yet. So why would they focus on it? But Elon focused on it. And he even said 10 to $20 trillion of revenue is not insane to imagine, even though he acknowledged that these are out of earth numbers. But I think that's very real in terms of the potential, at least, even if it's not real today. Now, I am obviously invested in 2 private robotic startups. People know about that, Figure and Apptronik. So I've studied this space a decent amount. I think there's massive opportunity here. I think there's a lot of demand. I think if Elon thinks they can do 10 to 20 trillion in revenue, the other robotics companies can get to a couple $100 billion in revenue, which means those companies can be worth a lot of money in the future, which begs the question, what is a company like Tesla worth that has the brand that Tesla has and the retail investor group and all that stuff? And if they're doing 10 to 20 trillion in revenue, again, if we want to leave Earth for a bit, I mean, what's the multiple you put on that? That's hundreds of billions of net income. Like that's a you could argue 10 to 20 trillion dollar company, right? Or at least a 30 to 40 trillion dollar company if you want to get even more aggressive with it. So obviously these numbers are not realistic today. Wall Street's not even thinking of factoring it into their valuation. Even Cathie Wood, Adam Jonas, the most bullish of bullish Tesla bulls, are not doing that. So my question here is, do you think he's saying all these egregious stuff because he really does believe it? Or do you think it's something to get people to buy the stock at $400, knowing that the automotive revenues just can't keep up?
No, I think he believes it. I think because remember a couple of years ago we didn't talk about Optimus at all. Then suddenly, poof, Optimus came on stage, and then things started rolling down quite rapidly with regards to Optimus. So I'm pretty sure he believes the numbers. But then again, when you sell consumer products, you have to convince the consumer to buy your products. Of course, at first you're going to sell to companies, which is way easier, which is why I love the Tesla Semi. And they themselves said on the call, it's a no-brainer product for them to launch. So yeah, we'll see. He did reduce the expectations a little bit for this year with regards to Optimus robots, right? A couple of thousands will be the goal this year, not like 10,000 or whatever what he said before. So at least there is that. But I want to touch back on something we mentioned beforehand with regards to FSD when Amir asked about the FSD revenue and recognition and all of that.
Yeah.
So this goes back to the upgrade of the hardware 3. So he said that's going to be painful and difficult, but we'll get it done. Now I'm kind of glad that not many people bought the FSD package. So maybe this is already like a indicator that maybe not that many people buy or bought FSD at the moment, and maybe that's why they're not showing us more and more data.
And you're saying Elon said on the call he was surprised people bought the FSD package.
He was happy. He was happy that not that many people bought FSD, because if more and more people bought, then it will cost Tesla way more to just retrofit hardware 3 to hardware 4.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And now the new Model Y has it incorporated into the price, from my understanding, right? As, Juniper,
the launch model.
The launch model, correct. It just includes it, which probably is a smarter thing for them to package it together. In terms of Optimus, look, I think my answer is he's doing a little bit of both. He is definitely pumping the crap out of this. When you throw out numbers like 20 trillion, retail takes out their Robinhood and they buy it immediately, which is probably why it pumped to 413. I mean, hell, I felt like buying it as soon as I was like, shit, dude, it's gonna, but it's like, because everyone's just like, okay, so Elon's a smart guy. He thinks it's going to 20 trillion. Stock's at 1 trillion. There's my 20x. But then you have to come back to reality, as the CFO even joked about on the call, because that's not happening yet. And so I think there's a little bit of a pump, but there is the potential of hope, which the beautiful thing about human beings is we live or die off of hope, right? We all need a purpose in life. We need something to believe in. And Elon is giving a lot of people something to believe in. And he has the numbers kind of to back it up in terms of the internal use cases that Tesla's seeing, and also the growth projections of scaling by 500% year over year versus 50%. Now, is that aggressive? And is that just a number that's never going to happen? Maybe. But if it does happen and you're not exposed to Tesla, I think, that immediately gets you to be like, holy crap, I need to get into the stock. So I think that's something that Wall Street inevitably is going to try to have to reconcile with, but there's no way tomorrow they're going to upgrade the stock because of Tesla's Optimus statements.
I mean, we are already surprised that it's up after hours, right? Based on the results, because during the call, I went back to the numbers, and I mean, automotive gross margin down quarter over quarter, X credit down as well, energy gross margin down, services and others down as well, quite low. And then the reason why we have, let me see if I can find it here. Like gross profit is down quarter over quarter, net income from operations down as well. But then when you look at net income attributable to common stockholders, that's up quarter over quarter, and that's because of the digital assets, the $600 million. So
Wait, is that, hold on,
technically without,
is that Bitcoin?
yeah.
So they became profitable on that because of Bitcoin. I love it. Okay.
A huge portion of their profit comes from that, from that, which we did miss a little bit before. But yeah, this is surprising, right? This is surprising. The energy gross margins are down quarter over quarter. Maybe it might be because of Shanghai, the cost there. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, without the digital assets, which I don't, what slide are they on? It's one of the last one.
Dude, Elon should have been pumping Bitcoin if that's the reason they're profitable. He should have given Bitcoin a little bit of attention here today.
It's slide 31.
Yeah, you're right.
You got there 589, which adds to net cash provided by.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So yeah, that's interesting, but maybe Wall Street did flip a switch, because if this had happened, I don't know, a couple of quarters ago, stock would have been down a lot. They wouldn't care about FSD or robots or whatnot. They would say, oh, margins are down, volume down, whatever is down, everything's down, so the stock goes down as well. But today, I guess not. Today, I guess they're quite happy. Maybe they buy the whole robot story and FSD as well. So
I don't know. I don't know if it's the street. I think it's retail that just got super excited and started buying it after.
You think we have so much money?
I mean, I don't know.
Move $1 trillion stock?
No, that's fair. That's fair. That is well. After hours is a very thinly traded market, so maybe this thing dumps at 9:30 tomorrow. But you are right, up 4%, which is, what is that? Almost 20 to 30 billion. That's not easy for retail to just put that into the stock that quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, Microsoft is still down.
Yeah, Microsoft is still down right here.
Which is also crazy, right? Because if you look at Microsoft's business, it's like, okay, well, Microsoft is down, Nvidia is down because Microsoft's capex is going to be maybe lower than expected, which should usually help Microsoft. But in this case, it's like, no, you go down anyways. It's very, very strange, because the numbers are quite good for Microsoft. Still, they're going to spend billions and billions. Meta is going to spend billions. Tesla is spending billions, and Nvidia is taking a hit. Why? I don't know. There's like a weird thing happening right now. But like you said, it's after hours, so probably tomorrow when the market opens, things might move more aggressively, I would say.
No, but you're right. That is weird, dude. For Microsoft to be down 5% on their quarter, and for Tesla to be up 4%. I mean, maybe it comes down to how much you trust in the CEO, trust in the vision. The one thing about Tesla that none of us can deny, like objectively, people buy Tesla for potential. Microsoft is a business that has some potential, but it's a very well-established business, and I don't think you're buying it for a $30 trillion market cap one day. Maybe. But Tesla, people legitimately feel this thing can go to, many, many tens of trillions. And you got a cult that's not going to sell their shares that easily if they believe in that.
Yeah,
which is good.
It's
bullish for the stock, right?
No, it's up to them to deliver.
Yep.
Okay, when are you starting your FSD channel?
Yeah,
people are complaining that I have not experienced FSD, although I said I experienced once. So once you start, maybe I'll fly over and experience it a bit more. And for Matt, I did not trim my Rocket Lab position.
Shout out to Vitaly in the chat. We're going to be rich, bitches. He's been holding Tesla since, 2017. So he's used to Elon pumping, but he's been here throughout the entire pump. I don't know when I'm going to start my FSD channel. I wanted to start it this month, but I just got really busy, and hopefully February I can start it. But I really do want to start it because I just love enjoying the experience of FSD every day. And then you can come. That'll be your excuse to come to New Jersey. And I can take you on an FSD ride. The final poll I'm putting in the chat for today. Thank you to the about 2,600 people that are still here with us after almost 4.5 hours. Here's the poll. Do you believe most of Elon's statements? Yes or no? Let's do the final poll for the day. Do you believe most of Elon's statements that he said today? We'll see how the market interprets it tomorrow. I believe them, but I also believe them with a grain of salt because it's not going to happen overnight. But like, again, when I experience FSD every day, the research I've done on the robotics market, I think those two industries are going to be much bigger than what we can imagine. But it's going to take time. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla dump or pump tomorrow.
One thing I can say for certain is I don't know how anyone cannot be bullish on America.
I would agree.
In Europe, I'm still like, oh, discovered fire with some stupid AI from 2 years ago, while you guys are building autonomous robots and autonomous cars. It's ridiculous.
We have Vitali saying, even I want to buy more after this call. We have someone saying Elon is a pathological liar. And then we have 30 and a wake up saying, I believe his statements, but not his timelines, which I think honestly is true, right? You can believe his statements, but not his timelines. But then again, we have to remember Elon is the innovator of our lifetimes. And if it's not him, then who else? So even if he's 5 years late, at least it's happening, which is what we all have to be grateful for at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, if there are a couple of thousands of robots this year, not tens of thousands, it's fine as well.
Yeah. And now, again, as you said, it's going to be up to Tesla ultimately to execute and get to that vision that they have. All right, that is it for us. I'm going to link Couch Investor's YouTube channel in the chat for those that have not checked out his channel. If you are a subscriber of mine, I highly recommend subscribing to his. I watch his videos. He has excellent analysis using graph, charts, numbers, data. He is not a guy who's going to bullshit you with an opinion. He's going to have that opinion backed up by a lot of facts and a lot of stats. He's very bullish on the semiconductor space, bullish on a variety of different stocks, AMD, Micron, etc.
Apparently, you should be looking at Nebius. Your chat said that a couple of times.
The amount of people that have told me to look at Nebius, I haven't done it because I've just been busy, but they keep telling me that Neil is like, that you have a real thesis and you're getting the whole world to look at this stock. So you and me might have to have a private chat about it, or maybe you come on the channel one day and you can pitch it to us as well.
Yeah, apparently Monday is a big day, no?
Why?
Monday after hours?
Let me see. Monday after, I think we have. We have. So for the rest of the week, guys, we have we have Apple, Visa, Intel tomorrow after hours. So Apple will be a big one, and then Monday we have Google, AMD, Enphase, Snapchat, and Chipotle. Sorry, that's Tuesday. Monday after hours is Palantir. Yes,
exactly.
You were trying to give me a layup there, and I totally missed. I was like, yeah. So we'll be live on Palantir. I think you'll be with us on Palantir, right?
I will be on my phone because I noticed I will be at the airport on my way back.
Are you traveling? You on vacation or something?
Quick business trip.
Okay, gotcha.
But I'll be on my phone, so yeah. I checked my flight and I'm like, wait a second, Monday. I knew Monday was something important, but yeah. But I don't have any shares anymore, which is going to be extremely interesting for me because obviously I hope the stock crashes so I can go back in. But if it goes up because the revenue increased 50%, I might go back in anyways because 50% is 50%.
What price would you buy Palantir at? Would it have to go to like 50, 55, 60? Or what do you think?
Well, ideally, yeah, as close as 50 as possible. But then again, if suddenly, guidance is a huge increase year over year because of government growth and all of that, then I don't mind buying a bit above 55 or something like that. But yeah. And I do expect government to accelerate because of the Doge program, because of, not just defense. Tom Litt spoke about that. Palantir could be huge beneficiaries when it comes to healthcare and all of those programs, because you guys are spending $900 billion on it and you're not getting any healthier by the year. So I guess something needs to change.
Nice subtle shade you are throwing at the US. Final question for you, Neil. Why do you sound like Arnie?
Because apparently Arnie is a brother from an Italian mother that I never met.
There you go. I love it. All right, folks, that is it. Neil's Twitter and YouTube will be in the description. You can check him out there. I'll be live tomorrow for the Market Open. Alex Karp will be live at 11 a.m. on CNBC. So in the Market Open, we'll be watching Karp a couple days before their Q4 earnings, and then Q4 earnings on Monday. We'll be live again, and we'll have Palantir live. In terms of Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla, look, we needed 3 good earnings, regardless of what happens to the stocks. These were decent earnings. Meta and Microsoft were really good.
Yep.
Tesla numbers were but potential is there. So it's not like these were recession type of horrible earnings that can't live up to any of these valuations.
Not even close. And tomorrow after hours, big day, Intel is reporting. Very important for me and for AMD shareholders as well. I know there are a lot of advanced money destroyer bag holders in the chat and on YouTube, but no, I think Intel's comment could help AMD, especially on the consumer side of things. I know a lot of people are focused on NVIDIA, but at these prices, AMD with inference, even with DeepSeek, I think DeepSeek actually puts even more value on inference and AMD's chips over the long run, which is also why Nebius is up so much after crashing 37%.
Right.
But that's a story for another day.
All right. Tesla up 4% after hours. Microsoft down 5%. NVIDIA down 1.36%. And Meta up 1.85% after hours. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Love you all. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Good night.